Arizona do it. What's going on, everybody? We're doing things a little different today. I'm on the other side of the room at the editing bay, just hanging out. How's everyone doing today? I'm running late as hell. My apologies. Right now we're watching Ben Fraser get arrested before a governor's conference, it looks like. It looks exciting.
This governor does not care.
He doesn't care about us.
When it comes down to the people's welfare, this governor does not care.
He doesn't care.
He
don't give a shit.
Clear our position. It's time for him to address the people.
Yes.
Go and get him.
Go get him.
Go and get him.
Face the people. Time to face the people.
Go and get that ass. Go and get him.
So you trying to chase us out?
I'm in the Discord in the lounge, by the way, guys. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever it is where you are.
You're not talking to a child.
I love you and we made it.
Okay, let me just tell you.
Hopefully the stream's running okay. Again, from the editing bay today. Just chilling. Got the new music set up. This is what it is. This is where I'm at.
I think you get my point.
It's like a big pile of snacks behind me.
Sir, where is the news conference? We're trying to hold our public officials accountable.
Yes.
I think that is fair, I think that is reasonable, that we hold our elected officials accountable. You, sir, are attempting to stop the people from gathering in a public building on public property to address a public official. That, sir, is absurd. Go and get the governor.
Go and get the governor. Damn, dude's
Go and
heated.
get the governor. I'm through talking to you.
Get his
Go and
ass.
get the governor.
I'm done with it.
Go and get the governor. You make me leave. Make me leave. I'm disobeying. I'm not. I'm not. End of question. End of conversation. We're not moving. Go and get the governor. You're not back yet?
Damn, boy. Ben Fraser getting arrested. What? Yeah, we'll get the smooth flippy dippies on.
That's it? Okay, so,
It's a whole ass vibe, dude. I am so
yes, it is.
proud of this dude. If I had the bail money, I'd be bailing him out right now. Fuck this governor. Come talk to your constituents.
In some areas, and I'm gonna ask everyone who is not the media.
Yo, he's got the drip though. Ben Fraser came with the drip. Man, I am envious of that suit
Say
too.
what you need to say outside here, if not, I'm gonna have you trespass off the property.
Oh, really?
Really?
Now
Some-
we're not turning this to a trespass. We
That's
can't
some
talk to our
bullshit.
governor.
It's not a trespassing.
It's a horrible
We can.
situation.
It's not trespassing.
But this is not the time and the place,
But we
right?
want to ask a question.
There never
You don't-
seems to be a time and a place for him. He
I have a
sneaks
question.
into town and then he leaves. We want to talk to the governor.
Okay,
We
so
want
I
to talk
said,
to him about.
What is the private
We wanna
business
talk to
that's
him
going to
about-
be conducted? You said it's going to be private business. So what's the private business?
not private, we have
It's a press
areas
conference.
out here, for example, downstairs is
It's a
where-
press conference, sir.
So it's private, meaning that the public.
This man is gonna talk about the health and well-being of this state,
Understand what the private business is?
and we should be allowed to be here.
There's nothing private
Goddamn
about
right.
public health, sir.
So the public is business.
We've got an ongoing pandemic.
I'm cursing before 10 minutes in. Sorry, Ben Fraser got me heated. I don't even know what they're mad about, but I'm
Tallahassee
for
doesn't
it, dude.
want the public to be
Fuck this
at a
governor.
Press conference. What sense does that make?
Sure. Is there, my name is
Does it
Brady
make
Brown, I'm with the
sense?
governor's office.
Biden's addressing Omicron live.
Dr. Jerry
What do we
Abraham,
got?
thank you.
What do we got?
Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to take a quick break.
You're
More
welcome.
news is next here
Having
on
you.
CBSN.
We don't want your booty breaks. What we got? We got anyone report on something?
Hello, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. Thanks so much for streaming with us today. Live pictures for you as the scramble to clear a path.
I-95
after a
is icy.
severe
People
winter
were
storm
snoozing.
leaves
People were
drivers
snoozing on
stranded for hours
I-95.
I-95 in Virginia. Among those trapped, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine. His 2-hour drive to the Capitol, more than 19 hours. A wreck with multiple tractor trailers backing up the interstate for miles. Drivers forced to sleep in their cars as temperatures drop below zero. The Department of Homeland
Damn.
Security out with a new warning ahead of the 1-year anniversary of the January 6th attack, alerting law enforcement around the country that violent offenders will try to exploit the upcoming anniversary to promote or possibly commit violence.
Yeah.
And it's the end of an era. Get ready to say goodbye if you're still using a BlackBerry. The once popular device.
Shout out President
will stop
Obama.
working today.
President Obama used
So we begin with the
a
latest on the fight
BlackBerry
against COVID. The U.S.
all through his
setting a new
presidency,
global record in this
according to
pandemic,
him.
with more than 1 million new COVID cases reported in 24 hours, which likely includes those backlog cases from holiday testing. ABC's Trevor Ault has the latest.
A stunning new daily infection record. More than 1 million new cases reported Monday alone. Most states reporting a backlog from the weekend, but the total is nearly double.
Oh, a
the
bunch of
previous
people
daily
where
record.
Lux is working
Now
got it.
vaccine boosters are likely
Crazy.
rolling out to even younger Americans. FDA now authorizing Pfizer booster shots for 12 to 15-year-olds and recommending everybody 12 and up originally vaccinated with Pfizer get their booster after 5 months instead of 6. The CDC is expected to sign off midweek, and shots could be available as early as Thursday.
It's more important now than ever for all teens to go out there and get all 3 of their vaccinations.
325,000 children tested positive for the virus just last week, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. And more than 100,000 infected Americans are now hospitalized, more than double the total from early November.
The sickest of the sick that we are seeing now are the patients that are not vaccinated.
The
Someone's been
sickest
asked that
of
they can
the
be vaccinated
sick.
tonight, but I'll have to let them know that it's too late.
Some of the sharpest increases
Get your
in
vaccine,
hospital
guys.
admissions are recorded in the
I'm
Southeast,
vaccinated and I feel
with the
fine.
number of
I'm the
newly
sickest
admitted
person you know, I
patients there
promise.
jumping 64%
Get vaccinated.
between Christmas
I'm
and
not
the
saying
new
vaccinate your
year.
babies.
The influx
Vaccinate
could
yourself.
get worse
And come do
following
stuff
the
with me.
holiday. But in New York,
I'm not saying it won't give you COVID.
hospitalizations are already
Say get
back
vaccinated.
to levels not seen since last January.
We're not in a good place. I'm going to be really honest with you. This is the winter surge we predicted, and we fully anticipate on top of the surge that's already been ongoing that there's going to be another wave that's occurring as a result of these holidays.
Starting today, the state will require hospitals report a breakdown of how many people are hospitalized because of COVID symptoms and how many are testing positive while there for other treatments.
The sheer numbers of people infected are high, but I want to see whether or not the hospitalizations correlate with that.
And scientists are now tracking a new variant that's infected a dozen people in southern France that doctors say appears to be heavily mutated, but it's been around for about a month and it's yet to make a big impact. And remember, most new variants
Late, see what's going on here.
do sputter out, but scientists, of course, have their eye out for it.
The 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics are just a month away, and China is already facing a serious test of its zero COVID policy. Athletes will be isolated in what organizers are calling a closed loop during the games, and
Damn.
they will live, train, and compete in a
They
very
will live on a hamster wheel. They will compete like rodents. They will be in a cage. There will be sawdust. They will excrete all their fluids into the sawdust. They will eat pellets. They will drink from The tubes. They're gonna drink from the suck tubes.
Strict bubble.
They're going to
But
be in a
China
closed
is dealing
loop.
with COVID outbreaks in several cities, and the government is implementing strict measures, including severe lockdowns, like in Xi'an, a city of some 13 million people. Foreign correspondent Maggie Bruley joining us now live from London with more. Maggie, so good to see you.
Lux is home.
You got it working?
I got it working.
Well, good.
It's working. It's smooth as hell. I guess you can't Mac to Mac. you can't double Mac. What up, Rock? Rock's holding it down as always, dude. The government teat. They said the Olympians will be competing in a closed loop system. There's gonna be sawdust. There's gonna be pellets. There's gonna be a water tube. They're gonna compete on a wheel. It's gonna be a closed loop. The government's got them in a cage, man. Straight up. What up? Shrinda says hello as well.
Hi.
You're always good to see you as well.
Well, as we enter in this new year, you know, China's
Did you put out
zero
any
COVID
fires?
strategy has been successful, controversial so far as well. What kind of challenges?
She's putting out fires. She's being a queen. She's being modest. She's like, oh no, I haven't. Meanwhile, everybody around her and above her is like, we're so glad she's here. She's put out so many fires today alone.
Do you see the Olympics presenting here?
Yeah, Kira, you know, China, as you said, sometimes controversial, but also so far successful. They're really one
Successful
of the last countries still
at
chasing
disappearing
this idea
people.
of zero COVID. But the Olympics will be their biggest challenge yet. Starting today, they've
Successful?
even launched their
My tuchus.
pre-Olympics bubble. This is well underway. They're getting ready to welcome 25,000
China's a
people,
humanitarian
officials and
crisis, in my
athletes
opinion.
from all over the world. They haven't been tested like this yet.
I said
but
it.
They say they're confident they can do it. You know, this bubble is going to be very
Come
strict
at me,
here, stricter
China.
than even what we saw with the Summer Games in Tokyo. Some of what they've told us so far, everyone in the bubble is going to be tested with a PCR test every single day. They've told athletes.
Fuck is a PCR test? Is that the quick test? What's PCR? Do you know what that is?
I think that's the one you get at testing sites.
Oh. I'm trying to figure out how I gotta move to show yous. Hey, look. Lux is on this stream. That's where I normally am. Yeah, no, yeah, we traded places. Welcome to the rest of it. Welcome to Studio Lux. But this is also where I make music, this little setup over here. So I'm actually a little more comfortable over here throughout the day. So I'm kind of hoping I can just get this set up and we can get our grind times figured out, you know? At least long enough to get that second dose of vaccination and maybe grind out a record. You know. Hang out. PCR usually takes about 48 hours, says Monica in the chat. Okay, so that's what PCR means. I was like, boy, they're giving them PCP in a hamster cage? This is all I'm hearing, is that it's not good to be in the Olympics this year.
They don't want them cheering for other athletes. Instead, only clapping is allowed. And get this,
Sneeze
they're even
time.
saying they're going to
No
separate
allergies
the
all day
trash
till I start
to
streaming.
keep the trash from people in the bubble separate from the general population. They are
Just the
really
way it
doing
is.
everything they can to make this Olympic works because for many people, Chinese officials, they say this is their chance to prove to the rest of the world why their COVID zero policy is going to work. But Kira, it is going to be difficult to pull off.
So what if an athlete tests positive?
Yeah, well, just like anything else, this is strict, Kira. Right now, they're saying if an
Test
athlete tests
positive,
positive,
in
they face
trouble.
then a quarantine of up to 21 days, potentially even 5 weeks. So
Trouble.
this is quite a severe for many athletes. It's part of the reason why the NHL came out saying they don't want any players from their league going to the Olympics, which was heartbreaking for many of those players. But they said that potential for a
Coolest thing about this setup, though, is special guest will be happy. The iMac is running this well. Hopefully it's not just a green screen for everybody, or me like dropping frame all the time. Because I really excited to have the iMac working again. I have a really nice computer. Like Mac is just shat out on me. I filled it full of projects, not just like records and like song. I found out I had over 200 songs that I'm working on, so I had to liquidate. Had to kind of consolidate and figure out what to keep, what to cut. I'm an expert at cutting the fat, so did that. Did that.
Quarantine was just too severe. They missed the March playoffs. So again, up to 21 days, 5 weeks. It's a pretty harsh quarantine for anyone who tests positive.
So what do you think, Maggie? How big of a threat is Omicron, given that it appears to be the most contagious variant so far?
Yeah, Kara, this is the biggest issue right now. You know, the games are coming at a time where we're seeing Omicron surge around the world. You mentioned those numbers you're seeing in the States right now. This is a huge battle for a country that hasn't seen, you know, many outbreaks. You mentioned some of the outbreaks they are facing right now. That one city of about 13 million under a Wuhan-style lockdown. They had about 1,600 cases. Now,
She says Wuhan, and everybody in the news says Wuhan. The coronavirus, most likely, in my opinion, came from the novel coronavirus lab in Wuhan, China. But every time somebody says Wuhan, I think Wu-Tang, and I get really excited. And they don't say Wu-Tang, they say Wuhan. And I deflate a little bit every time. Every time. I'm like, the Wu-Tang did it? Oh, no, they didn't do it. No. They did a lot of other things. But they wouldn't give us a virus anyway.
that sounds like nothing compared to America, but this is the largest outbreak China has seen since the start of the pandemic, and it was not even from Omicron yet. So just imagine, we know how easily this new variant spreads, and keeping it separate with a bubble is going to be so difficult. China says they're confident, but gosh, we're 1 month
Every time it happens, I'm like, the RZA, the Jizza, the old dirty bastard, Inspector Deck, Raekwon the chef. We got somebody popping in and out of the Discord. Hello, Chief. Come back. You can come back, Chief. Oh, is it Chief? Okay. Is it Chief? Come back. I got the dude. I'm in the lounge, guys. As usual. We doing it, you know. As usual. You got. Sorry. Let's just keep shouting out. Capadonna. We got every Wu-Tang member.
Going to be watching these games.
The south side of Staten Island, the north side of Staten Island, central Staten Island.
Well, coming up,
90% of the male population of Staten Island, Wu-Tang. They're all members of Wu-Tang.
Defining day for Prince Andrew. His legal team.
What up, Erica? Welcome.
Settlement with Jeffrey Epstein is unsealed.
Hopefully, I'm catching you.
And welcome back, lawyers for Britain.
No, Erica got COVID too. And the Met. Yeah, Erica got COVID too.
You might.
No.
Okay, good.
I guess now. I can unmute myself, huh? Yeah. See now okay, that makes sense. I was muted in Discord. Can you hear me in Discord?
No, I can't hear you, but I can hear the stream.
That's good.
So,
What? Yeah, Flatbush and shit. Exactly.
Set up on that desktop. You just can't be heard on Discord.
Word. And the new Flatbush Zombies, the new RZA. I'm not mad at the new RZA tracks. RZA, in my opinion, you know, someone I always try to emulate when I make hip hop beats, but not my favorite MC of the Wu-Tang. Not my favorite MC of the Wu-Tang.
Prince Andrew are set for a court hearing today. He faces sex assault allegations from a woman who says she was trafficked.
I don't know if anyone
by
can
Jeffrey
guess my
Epstein
favorite
and Ghislaine
MC of the
Maxwell.
Wu-Tang.
Now newly unsealed court
I'll give you a
documents
hint,
are
he's got
shedding
beef
new
with
light
everybody.
on a settlement agreement between Epstein and the accuser as the royal.
No, Lux doesn't have COVID, Erica. John B has COVID. A co-worker, well, an employee of Lux's has COVID. A bunch of people have. It just seems like it. I keep hearing every day a new person or two people have COVID around my sphere, and I'm glad I got that vaccination, man. Ready for that second round because I don't want COVID. It is Ghostface, Monica. I love Ghostface Killah. Ghostface Killah is my favorite rapper in the Wu-Tang. He's got beef with everybody. He's got beef with everybody. Everybody. Action Bronson, Martin Shkreli. It's everybody.
Royal family faces growing pressure over the prince. Foreign correspondent
Prince Andrew has some heat on him. No, it's on. Prince Andrew's got some heat on him. It's going down. I got a feeling he's going to end up, I don't know, in trouble. Yeah, no, yeah, everybody, yeah. Show some love for Ghostface Killah, because hopefully we don't start I made fun of Ghostface beef video, because, you know, he'll make beef videos where he's not rapping, he's just kind of like, there's a beat in the background, he's just talking shit to a cell phone. And he's made a lot of them. He really loves to talk shit, and I just don't want him to show up like Molly Golightly did when I was talking shit on her. So there's no beef. There's nothing but love, Ghostface Killah. You're the only member of Wu-Tang I genuinely fear actual beef, because you beef with anything. Anybody. And you got the bars to back it up. He's genuinely, in my opinion, the best MC in the Wu-Tang. You don't expect him. You don't expect Ghostface Killah. But Happy New Year. You're popping into the stream and I haven't seen you since the new year started. Erica, I know you've been busy. I'm kind of... I hate that you have COVID. But how are you feeling, though? I'm gonna hit play on this. You let me know.
James Longman has the latest for us from London.
Secret court documents revealed in a long-standing civil case
The beef
between
master,
Prince Andrew and his
the beef
accuser, Virginia
supreme,
Roberts Giuffre.
Ghostface Killah.
Andrew's legal team have unsealed the 2009 settlement Giuffre reached with sex predator Jeffrey Epstein. It shows she received $500,000.
You can hear me.
And that she would not involve
appeared in the
parties
Discord.
associated with Epstein, including, quote, royalty, a term referenced in
Just
the original
body
lawsuit.
aches.
Now 38, Giuffre claims she was trafficked for
I wouldn't
sex
be
by
able to
Jeffrey
tell if that
Epstein
symptom.
and
I got
accuses
those
Prince
chronically.
Andrew
It's
of
a
having sex
bitch.
with her on several occasions and in multiple locations, including New York.
Shout out Lux. I make her like jab her elbow and shit into me all the time because it's part of my disease. I got the body aches and the cramps, and it seems like arthritis, but it's not arthritis. I don't have arthritis, which is dope to know, but I had something that felt like it. So, oh, you did get the vax. See, that's what I've been saying. Like, I'm not saying get the vaccine, everybody, because it could prevent you from getting COVID. You might still get it, but we can go do shit. We have a card and we're allowed to go do shit. It's not a tattoo on your arm. It's not being put in a camp. It's just a vaccine and a fucking card. As your Jewish friend and your friend who is immunocompromised and was told initially not to get it because it could kill me, I took it and I'm alive.
Starting when she was 17.
Make
These
of that
claims
what you
she's
will.
denied many times.
I've said consistently and frequently that we never had any sort of sexual contact.
Attorneys for the Duke of York argue those documents should prevent him from being sued and exclude him from further litigation. It's not the only argument the Duke's legal team is using to try and get the case dismissed. They say Giuffre lives in Australia and not the US, where the suit was filed, and they've requested a delay in the evidence Giuffre's attorney has tried to present. In an interview with the BBC, the Duke of York admitted to having known Epstein through his longtime friend,
really?
now convicted sex offender, Ghislaine.
So are your symptoms worse if you have COVID and you're not vaxxed? Is that how that seems?
That's the suggestion.
Oh.
That if you're not vaxxed, you're probably going to be hospitalized.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Glad I got the
Or
vaccine.
You run a higher risk of being hospitalized.
Holy shit. That's fucking nuts. This stream didn't end. This stream didn't end. What you talking about? Discord? Oh, it just bounced me out for no reason. Like I logged in somewhere else. Weird.
Had suffered what I would describe
There we
as
go.
an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at.
Andrew has denied Giuffre's claims, and his attorneys have called her lawsuit baseless, meant to achieve another payday. It's not known when the judge will make a decision on this, but the pressure does just keep.
What up, Yikes Factory? Yeah, I'm doing amazing. I'm doing good. How you doing, Yikes? I'm doing pretty good. Kidney disease, and she's healthy as a horse and vax. Oh, wow. Yeah, please keep us posted, Erica. I'm worried about you. Everybody send positive vibe to Erica and her family. That's incredibly worrying. Oh, you have a bad feeling about the vax, yikes. I did too, initially. You know, my doctor, yikes, told my primary care physician I have an autoimmune disease, and I was scared. And they told me no initially, and I waited and I waited. And I'm at the point where I'm tired of being locked down and being immunocompromised. So I went to a place that offers free vaccinations and got one. And I'm alive. I'm okay. So I suggest if you want to go do stuff, go get the vaccine. It's somewhere between getting punched in the arm and a flu shot. It's kind of like a flu shot on fucking steroids. The effects of it for me weren't that bad. I hear some people have worse effects. I hear the second dose is worse, so I'll stream through the second dose. You guys can rewatch the streams and check out my symptoms and stuff. I talk about my symptoms while I'm having them. When I got the vaccine, if you guys need a guinea pig, I'm here for you. I understand being scared of it. I was too. And no reason to be ashamed of being scared of it. I wouldn't trust the government either at this point. We have a whole podcast called The Tattered Map, yikes, on YouTube that's all about conspiracy. And we pull government documents, But yes, everybody, in the chat, throw some positive energy Erica's way. If you got an emote, if you got an emoji to throw in the chat, throw it in the chat for us. Even if you've only lurked and you've never murked before, throw it in there. If you're watching and you can't participate in the chat because I've booted you from it, that's an interesting conundrum. You should reach out to me in the Discord. And maybe we can remedy that. I'm going to hit play on James Longman. This Prince Andrew stuff has been on my mind. Kind of nonstop. Lux and I talk about it a lot. I got her hooked on the show The Crown. I'm a Queen Elizabeth simp. Bad. I simp for the Queen. We simp for the Queen here on Merc Radio. Hard. And, it's kind of an open secret that Prince Andrew is the Queen's favorite child. And he acts disgracefully all the time. I couldn't think of a more fitting title than Duke of York. Not that he's done anything as despicable as like Richard III, probably the worst Duke of York in history. But he's really up there with being one of the worst Dukes of York in history. And that's really saying something. The other shitty Duke of York was a hunchback Shakespearean villain who murdered 2 children. And you're up there, you're in league with that, in my opinion, with Prince Andrew. You're in a level of Shakespearean shitheel that you don't normally see in history. We get to live through kind of multiple historical shitheels: Epstein, Savile, Prince Andrew. The list goes on and on and on. Harvey Weinstein. Louis C.K. was just cranking it at people. With consent, I guess, but still just cranking it at people, which, do you, brother? That's still such a weird story to me, the Louis C.K. one. Anyway, we've lived through some historically big kind of shitheels as a multiple living generations. Pretty interesting.
Keep mounting
Pretty interesting
on
stuff.
Prince Andrew, and whatever the outcome, I think it's unclear when or if he'll return to his duties as a member of the royal family. Kira?
Well, we will definitely follow it, James. Thanks so much. So what does all of this mean for Prince Andrew and the royal family? Earlier on Good Morning America, George Stephanopoulos spoke to Chief Legal Analyst Dan Abrams and also a royal expert, Victoria Murphy, about what's next.
Any serious chance that he can dismiss this case?
Well, look, some of these arguments are not frivolous arguments being made by Prince Andrew. It's probably a long shot that he'll be able to get it dismissed at this point, but this fundamental argument as to whether he should be covered by the settlement agreement is actually a really interesting argument, Because in her lawsuit, she had said,
What
that
up,
these
Christy?
were the
It's good to
people who
see ya.
abused her, including, quote, royalty. Then in the settlement agreement, it was supposed to apply to all potential defendants. And Prince Andrew's team is saying, wait a
Erica,
second.
you wonder why
She
he's the
referred to
favorite.
royalty, clearly referring to Prince Andrew.
I will say, like, just Erica speculating as to why Andrew's the favorite. He's really trying to duck that shit. I think he was probably, you know, he was the first child born when she had reconciled and they had kind of come to new terms, the relationship between her and Prince Philip. There's an infamous meeting they had on a yacht, and after that meeting on the yacht, they had a couple more kids, and Philip seemed to settle down and stop acting as fucking wild. So I think Andrew was one of the first, was the son she got to spend more time with. You know, Charles, she nannies raised Charles, you know, he spent more time with his grandmother, I guess, than with Elizabeth. Elizabeth took the crown incredibly young, and I think that's why Andrew's her favorite, is she spent more time with Andrew. She made a concerted effort to try to correct the things she didn't get to do with Anne and Charles in Andrew. And you can almost see it in his naming convention. His name is Andrew. It's interesting to me, considering the naming conventions for her other children. Anyway.
There, and that was supposed to be a settlement
kind of like a
for all potential
second life
defendants.
child.
That should cover him. It's a bit of a stretch because
Mitzi
he
Shore
isn't
had
specifically
Polly Shore.
mentioned in this. There's no
You know.
reference to Prince Andrew, so it's not going to be an easy argument to win. But there are real legal issues to resolve.
It's also a little tricky because if the argument is, wait, I'm the royalty in that case, then he's kind of implicated in the whole case, maybe not legally, but publicly.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, but remember, the legal is very different from the public. His position would be, I'm not conceding that any of this is true. What he's saying is, as a legal matter, if you are arguing that I am responsible here, I am responding by saying, I'll accept that for the purposes of the legal argument and tell you then, therefore, I am covered by the settlement agreement. It hurts him in the court of public opinion. It doesn't really hurt him in the court of law, because lawyers do this all the time, where they say, look, we're not conceding it, but even if it were true, here's our legal argument.
And Victoria, when it comes to the court of public opinion, how much would dismissal even help Prince Andrew at this point?
Well, I think that's very interesting, George. And yes, you have all these legal manoeuvrings going on, but of course, in the background, you have the court of public opinion. And let's not forget that it was public opinion and that negative reaction to his BBC TV interview in 2019 about Epstein that ultimately led to him stepping back from his royal role. And that was way before Virginia Giuffre had even filed this particular civil case against him. If his lawyers are able to successfully get this case thrown out, then it will obviously be a legal win, and it will avoid the worst case scenario as far as his reputation goes, which is obviously him being found at fault. That's the worst thing that can happen for his reputation. But what it doesn't do, I think, is completely turn things around for him. For a lot of people, him tackling the allegations themselves head on and successfully doing that is now what is required.
He's so creepy looking. He's so creepy looking. He got this kind of, you know, I don't know. He's creepy. Prince Andrew, and then saying he didn't sweat because of a burst of adrenaline during the war or whatever. Like, he's full of shit. Full of shit. Gonna be found to be full of shit. The news here, too, is that Virginia was only paid $500,000 as a settlement from Epstein, by the way, which, you know, granted she, I guess, was a millionaire by that point when she got the settlement, but that's a shit deal, man. That's a shitty fucking deal. $500,000 for being abused through your childhood? Fuck that. Man, you need more money than that. Better attorneys or something. Well, you can't really fight Epstein back in the day, you know. It's like a legendary closed settlement. But turns out it was only for $500,000, and then she got to keep any gifts he gave her and any other money she had made off of the story. Yeah. Filtered Danny Dunn. Danny Dunn coming hot. I'm like, hey, anybody have a question for me? He's like, what's your social security number? I'm like, baby, babe, what?
cried
You better
wolf
believe I'm not
this
telling you that,
away
baby.
Completely as far as his reputation goes.
Any sense of what's going on with the royal family right now?
Oh, Christy making lunch. Right on.
Well, the royal family is, of course, acutely
Doing
aware
pretty good
of
today.
how damaging this
Doing
is.
pretty good.
And we can see that from
Woke
the
up
fact
a little
that they
rough.
have totally erased him from the public face of the monarchy. They've done everything they can to distance themselves. He hasn't appeared publicly with the royal family at all in the last 2 years, apart from at his own father's funeral. And the fact that he didn't even appear in his own daughter's wedding photographs that were released by the palace, I think tells us everything we need to know about how toxic they perceive his presence to be for them. However, there's only so much they can do because ultimately he is still the Queen's son, and this is very much for that reason still
What do
going
you
to continue
fucking do?
to play out as a royal story.
And finally, Dan, what exactly is going to happen in court today?
Well, this is not going to be an argument about the facts. It's not going to be an argument about whether this is true. This is
We
going
know
to be
it's
a
true.
very technical legal argument on a number of fronts, where the prince is trying to get the case dismissed, where the plaintiff is saying the case should continue. And this is going to be a critical ruling, because if the case is dismissed at this point, case is over. If the case moves forward, that's terrible news for Prince Andrew on a number of fronts.
And our thanks to George, Dan, and Victoria for that interview and analysis. Well, coming up, we are traveling to Rocky Mount, Virginia, a small town that
This
has been deeply
dude's
divided
drip.
by the January 6th riot 1 year
He
ago
got the
this
bow
week.
tie.
How the community is moving forward.
This is a fancy man. This is a fancy man with a fancy bow tie. Ooh, this flower is wilting in the middle of the winter. Oh, lordy.
Right after this break.
The Rocky Mountain zoning map.
Welcome back. I'm Kira Phillips. So glad you're streaming with us. Well,
I've noticed the 60s mid flared, like mid forearm sleeved, like flared sleeve thing is back. Like the witchy sleeves. Call them the Stevie Nicks sleeves. You know what I'm saying? Makes it look like you probably dance like this on the weekend. I see you back there laughing, Lux. I see it. You know what I'm talking about. You see them around Tucson all the time. The witchy ladies. They look like they do the, they do the white lady dance on the weekend. They're talking about we might put on some Widespread Panic, and they brought their dog.
as we approach the 1 year anniversary
No
of the
dog
deadly
hair on
riot
them.
at the U.S. Capitol, we're looking
I
at the
wanna know your
impact
trick.
that
Don't
day
tell me
made on
it's rubber
communities
gloves.
around the country. And today, we're
I've heard
headed to
that
a
one.
small town just 260 miles south of D.C. It's the home of two
I
of
have,
the three
Christy.
police officers who federal
I
authorities
have. It's a celebration. I've made it off the toilet today. It's been crazy. I don't know what happened inside of me, but nah, it's chili cheese tots. I'll be honest. It was a whole bunch of chili cheese tots. They had fucked up an order at the market a couple of times on me, and I've had to return some food. And this time, like, the cook that's there was like, "We're so sorry about the last time." And they hooked us up with some extra chili and cheese on them. And boy, do I regret it. But still the best deal on food in town. It's like $6 for 4 people's amount of chili cheese tots. It's crazy.
have charged in the storming of the Capitol.
So I probably
building.
ate 2
Their
people's amount of
involvement
chili
has
cheese tots
deeply divided
yesterday.
the town, and it's resurfaced long-running debates over race, history,
Hashtag
and
woke up
politics.
like this.
So where do they even go from here? ABC's Devin Dwyer went out there to find out.
The chaos that's
Oh my god.
That dude's grunt. Did you hear that? Oh my god.
stunned the world on January
Whoa,
6th
that's frightening.
had roots in sleepy southern towns like Rocky Mount, Virginia. In the quiet foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, where moonshine and bluegrass are king and symbols of
Where you might get wagon wheeled at 2 a.m. by frat boys. Where you might get wagon wheeled sitting on a hay bale at just a random party. Where you might get wagon wheeled by your next door neighbor in a suburban complex you've moved into.
Donald Trump and the Confederacy.
I don't like the song
are
Wagon
immortal.
Wheel.
We just accept it and we just take it for what it is. This is their land, this is their county, and we just live in it.
Rocky Mount is predominantly
We just
white
living
and
in it.
politically conservative.
This is just how we are.
Passions poured out in the Capitol riot were no surprise here, but the involvement of two of their own sent shockwaves through the town. Jacob Fracker and Thomas Robertson.
That is
seen
unfortunate.
here
They just
making
have to live
obscene
with that shit.
statement in a selfie from inside the Capitol are two of just 3 active police officers that federal authorities have charged for their.
About a serial killer, Christy. Did I see that in Discord? I don't know. I'll check Discord here in just a bit before I pop out of the news segment because I want to check that out. Yeah.
Alleged actions
We'll
that
check.
day.
I'll check out anything on a
I think it
serial
was
killer.
actually shocking. Everyone I've talked to was totally shocked that those two men would
They
do that.
did want
On
Nancy
social media,
Pelosi's
the
head,
Rocky
Stan
Mount
Odie. They
cops,
were
both
so
military
fired up.
veterans celebrated their participation.
I was like, you guys can ask Angel and Special. I was like literally standing on furniture and like cheering like it was a football game. Not because I'm on either side, but because it was chaotic energy and I feed off of that kind of shit. Like I felt full as a tick by the end of that insurrection attempt, boy. When the black vans came, I was like, black vans. Like it was.
Robertson
Ooh,
saying they
I need a
attacked
cigarette now,
government to
talking about
stand
it.
up for their
Ooh.
rights. Fracker saying on Facebook,
I love that
"I
much
can
chaos at
protest
one
for
time.
what I believe in."
I could not believe
Love
what
it.
I was seeing. Like, seriously.
Rocky Mount native Bridget Craighead says she considered the officers family.
But we were out here in the front. We had
It was
people-
months earlier that they stood in solidarity at the town's first protest for Black Lives Matter. Cell phone video capturing the cops dancing with the demonstrators.
They were killing the electric slide. I mean, I'm gonna say. But I really felt like we were the example of what a community needs to do to get through
Hell yeah, you were.
this type of trauma.
Her dreads are looking solid as shit. Cut to a couple years later.
When we saw each other, hey, how you? This is a small town.
But January 6th was a betrayal of that friendship, she says, seen in their participation
beautifully
at the
chaotic.
Capitol,
I couldn't-
elements of racism and white power. Craig
That got scary for me because I'm
They needed
a
to be
Jewish person,
exposed
so
because it's not.
they're
only
burning
just
crosses in my
them.
lawn,
They're
too.
just the body of the evil here. It's
And I'm not on that
it's
side.
deeper than the two officers.
If you got some time with Jacob Fracker and Thomas Robertson today, and you sat down with them face to face, what would you tell them?
Was it worth it?
Let me work it. Put my thing down, flip it in reverse. I can't. Okay, someone got that song stuck in my fucking head the other day. And now if I hear somebody say, is it worth it? I can't not finish the sentence with Missy Elliott. You know what I'm saying? Nah, Black Lives Matter, Danny Dunn. I'm not going to diminish a movement with counter rhetoric created by racist, fed to people as centrist. That's not a centrist statement. But, you know, letting your generational bias show.
Was it worth it?
Robertson and Fracker have pleaded not guilty to federal charges
See, I did it
of
again!
disorderly and disruptive conduct and obstruction of Congress, insisting
I hear
they
Missy
didn't
Elliott
participate
every
in
time.
violence that day and that their message is not incompatible with support for Black lives.
They both were very polite gentlemen, and they were both town police officers. However, it is unfortunate that they are no longer employees of the town.
Tyler Lee considers the now former officers his friends. At 29, he's the youngest person ever elected to Rocky Mount City Council, and he spent the past year trying to urge his neighbors to turn the page.
I think we have to leave the stuff in a year ago, because if we keep bringing up what happened a year ago, it's still going to keep punching us in the mouth, right? If we can just teach compassion, communication, and how to balance a checkbook, those 3 things, I think you're golden.
But beneath the surface, emotions are still raw.
People like to fantasize, I call it, saying, you know, it's a good old southern town and all the families get along and everybody's happy, etc. And I call that the fantasy.
School board member Penny Blue says the riot resurfaced divisions over race, history, and politics that date to the Civil War and rekindled her disgust with Confederate symbols like this memorial statue, which was erected just 10 years ago after an older version was damaged.
I don't
Crush
admire
it.
the Confederate dead.
Do you see what happened on 1/6 as an extension of the Confederacy?
I do. It was an insurrection. And that's what these people did. It was an insurrection. Trump did not radicalize these people. He took advantage of what was already here. When I say here, I mean in Franklin County in America.
This part of the area is dominated by Trump's supporters. He still looms large here, even a year after leaving office.
Voters here last fall broke heavily for pro-Trump Republican Glenn Youngkin for governor in a campaign dominated by debate over critical race theory. The town also tapping a new, more conservative representative to the State House of Delegates, a former member of Trump's 2020 legal team who fought the election results.
You must never have been cheated by somebody. Some of these people will go to their grave holding that grudge forever.
Ren Williams, whose family has deep ties to this community, faced off against Bridget Craighead in November and won in a landslide.
Church and God is a big thing for us. History, as you said, we're steeped in history, and we feel as though people who don't understand our way of life or they don't resonate or connect with us, they dismiss it and they think it's less than.
Did you consider the events of 1/6 at the U.S. Capitol an attack on the government? How do you view what took place there?
I personally view it as a riot, and I condemn all rioting. I condemn.
I thought it had the energy of a riot for sure. I mean, it tasted like a riot. There were a lot of riots that happened before that. Again, I love chaotic energy, so I fed off some chaos energy happening around some of those riots, you know. And then, yeah, same flavor. So I agree with that, dude. Same flavor.
6th and going into the Capitol and
Same
things like that.
flavor.
Go out into these small towns and actually see if anybody is talking.
Yeah, I
about
will,
January 6th
Stan
anymore,
Odie.
because they're not. They're not discussing it.
Williams is
I
convinced
throw
Trump
hands
will
quicker
run
than
for
I can throw
president
fucking
again.
notes out of a guitar,
Others in the
so.
community wait anxiously for word on his intentions. At Rocky Mount United Methodist, the political divide is evident in the pews.
If you have any hope of healing, you got to talk about what's hurting.
So how do you bridge the divide between those two groups of people who sit in your pews?
I tend to believe that honesty is the best policy, ripping off the Band-Aids, the best way to move forward. So we talk about it. We're unafraid here.
A willingness to keep talking to each other, that's one rare area of common ground we found in the divided town.
We're bringing up all these hurtful topics and subjects, not to rub it, in your face or to bring up the past, but we have to bring up the past to learn from it and to move on and to heal.
At the end of the day, we all may disagree, but you still have to be able to stick your hand out and face it as a champ.
As both sides of the debate in Rocky Mount say it's faith that will see the town through.
To grow some flowers, you got to disturb the dirt. So this has been a disturbing year, just like 2020 was. But
That's an interesting thing to say. Wow, yeah, you do have to disturb. That's it. I've never heard that saying before. I'm a sucker for hyperbole, and that got me. That was well said.
I believe in growth, and it comes through sometimes seeing things messed up for a little bit.
Kind of has the eyes of a vegan socialist. I won't lie. He kind of has the eyes of a vegan socialist. Shout out all you vegan socialists. I have a few vegan socialist friends. I like you. Compassionate, good-hearted people. But he's got the eyes of one, and I don't trust that socialist agenda.
For ABC News, I'm Devin Dwyer in Rocky Mount, Virginia.
And so much thanks to our Devin. And ABC News will have live full coverage of the one-year anniversary of the attack at our nation's capital this Thursday. You can watch the new ABC News documentary, Homegrown Standoff to Rebellion, examining the event.
Stand up to rebel. The fuck I dropped behind this fucking computer, but there's something stays falling back here. All right, let's check out. Okay, let's check out Christy's link here in the Discord. What do we got going on here? What do we got? Where did you put it? Where'd you put it? Where'd you say? Serial killer. It's in the town hall. See, I haven't logged in with this account in a while, so I might be kind of far back in some posts. I got a couple of accounts. Sometimes I lurk just to see what's going on. Why can't I find the town hall? Am I having a stroke? There it is. Ooh. Yep, open that shit. 28-minute press conference. Let's get to the juicies. Oh, they're starting hot. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, that's a really good one, Erica. I like it. Oh, that was just a dude crossing. I thought this was popping out. Hold on, let me get this. I see the dude. There he is. It's so hard to tell some cops apart. It's the fade. It's the high top fade.
Ready?
It's that buzz cut.
Good afternoon. I'm joined here today
I love
by
that,
Chief
Erica.
Kelly Warner of the Harrisonburg, Virginia Police Department.
Same,
And you
Erica.
all know Major Ed O'Carroll, who's the Bureau Chief of our Major Crimes Bureau. We're here today to talk about a serial killer. And that is a phrase that I've used.
They're doing the same thing with this press conference they've been doing with press conferences as we've followed True Crime, right, on the channel. And as you've noticed, it's for some reason mono, hard left for no reason. They didn't mix it stereo for the broadcast. I don't know why. And funny enough, this guy, where we're normally saying to ourselves, hey, step closer to the mic. Please eat the mic a little bit. We can't hear what you're fucking saying. This guy needs to back up. They got a hot mic panned hard left on this guy for no reason.
Used sparingly in my 3
Any of you
decades
counties
in
out there, news outlets that need a sound man,
decade or so,
I'm almost fully vaccinated. Hit me up.
Capital Region and the DMV.
I got
and
you.
I can count on one hand, with a couple fingers left over, the number of times where law enforcement has had to grapple with the impact of a serial killer. We have a serial killer. The good thing is he's in custody. The challenge that remains is identifying other victims, and we're going to talk about
he's
that
eating the mic.
at great length. Our serial killer is called the shopping cart killer. He's called the shopping cart killer because he meets his victims, and so far we have 4. 3 are positively.
Yeah,
2
the
are
producer in
positively
me.
identified,
Literally
1
in
is
his mouth.
tentatively Identified.
He's eating it.
Unknown. He meets
He
his
came from
victims on dating
somewhere
sites.
back in how long
He
ago.
meets his victims then at motels, and we'll talk about a motel that he met 2 of his victims
that Michael
at here in
McDonald shit.
Fairfax County. Chief Warner will go into
What a
the
fool
motel down in
believes.
Harrisonburg where he met and killed 2 of his victims. After he inflicts trauma to his victims,
How
and
did they
kills
hit
them,
that? They had to have had
he
cocaine, the
transports
Doobie Brothers
their
back in the
bodies to
day,
their
to
final
do
resting place,
for
literally.
the Doobies to pull off the vocals in What a Fool Believes. Like, you have to have cocaine to hit that, right? Like, you got to. That's like Mariah Carey shit. You can't do, like, how does that even happen? You know? He came from somewhere back in her long ago. And it just keeps getting higher. That's what a fool believes.
In a shopping cart.
How do you keep going higher?
So our shopping cart killer.
Hot
we know,
mics, hard,
has
panned hard
traveled
left.
From
Yeah.
the DMV
It's a new
all
Merc
the way
record.
down to Harrisonburg. We're in the process of conducting, along with many other partners, a retrospective investigation to
that
figure out where he's been, and we're going to find out exactly
made
where
it
he's
snow.
been, and we're going to work with our law
They had that
enforcement
much. They
partners,
had that much cocaine.
homicide detectives, missing person detectives. to see
They
if
were
we
a
can
band called the
identify
Doobie Brothers, and they
any
did
other
kind of
victims,
spearhead
families,
yacht
and
rock.
communities that he has brought harm to. The 2 victims in Harrisonburg.
I like
females,
early
one's
Doobies,
54,
but
one's
give me the
34,
Doobies when
the
Michael
known
McDonald's there. Give me
suspected
yacht
victim
rock Doobies any
here
day.
in
I'll take yacht rock
Fairfax is
Doobies
29
anytime.
years old. I want to thank Chief Rob Conti from the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. When we start talking
You grab
about
his
these
balls.
cases,
You gotta grab
you'll
the
quickly
balls,
remember the
Erica.
name Cheyenne Brown. Cheyenne Brown is who we tentatively believe one
Who's
of our
popping in and
victims
out? Hello?
located here in Fairfax County is.
Oh, is that Lux?
We don't have 100% positive identification on her just
Gotta run
yet.
back.
But we have a tattoo that's been positively identified by her family as Cheyenne's tattoo. And the reason why we're not waiting to share this information, waiting, that is, until we get positive 100% DNA or dental verification that it is Cheyenne, is because we believe that there may be other victims in the area and throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we need to act now. We need to act right now with our law enforcement partners to figure out who else our killer has had contact with, and what's his MO, dating sites,
Train. Yeah, I
motels,
fucking love Soul Train, dude.
trauma,
I'm
shopping cart.
shout out
and
Don
resting place.
Cornelius.
He's killed
Fucking Soul
4
Train,
already,
dude.
and we suspect that he has more victims.
I just say that so boss. Grab him by
he's a
the
predator,
fucking balls.
as all serial
Yes.
killers are, and it's our collective effort in law enforcement to do everything we can with each other, with the community, to identify other places where he has been, so we can bring closure and ultimately justice. He preys
Where
on the weak, he
even
preys
is
on the-
your
the
drink? Let's see.
vulnerable,
It's everywhere.
and he does unspeakable things with his victim. Our shopping cart killer does
You are
unspeakable
committed to
things
a cold
with his
drink.
victims. And it's our collective
Damn.
duty and responsibility.
No one fridges a drink like Lux, dude. Where's Lux's drink? Boy, it's in the fridge. You better give me a smooch before you go to the office.
Mama.
Put out some fires. I'll see you here in just a bit. You got your yellow coat and your oxygen tank and the fire hose and all that. Put them fires out.
To bring
So you're gonna go crush it.
justice and closure to all of our communities. I think I'm going to introduce first Chief Kelly Warner again. from
Lemon
the
skunk
Harrisonburg
and
Police
Mac today, right
Department.
on.
She's been a
I'm
great partner, as
puffing on
have
some
her
lemon
entire
Vuitton.
Police Department, and then Chief Warner will bring up Major O'Carroll. Chief.
Thanks, Chief. Good afternoon, everyone. I join
Who has a
Chief
tag?
Davis in sending our condolences to all the victims' families and this tragedy that happened.
Tramp
across the Commonwealth
stamp.
of
Tribal's
Virginia.
a tribal tramp stamp that reads "Ridin' Wild" is what he has. His lower back. Tribal. Ridin' Wild.
On November
Or
23rd,
rope
2021,
letters.
Harrisonburg Police Department identified 2 female victims that were found dead in an open lot in a commercial district of the city of Harrisonburg. Anthony Robinson, age 35, was arrested as a result of video surveillance and cell phone records that connected him to 2 victims. The first victim, as Chief Davis mentioned, was Elizabeth Redmond, age 54, of Harrisonburg, and Tanita Laree Smith, age 39, of Charlotte.
Riding dirty.
Harrisonburg Police Department.
And it's just
and
a really bad portrait
Police Department were
of
conducting 2
Chameleonaire.
separate missing persons investigations, which resulted in narrowing
Says in
the
Old
focus
English letters, 2006 will live forever.
search this open lot. Both women were discovered within a short distance of each other, dead, although their deaths took place at 2 separate times.
Riding Wild got my kicks in
November
06. Ugh.
2020, a Metropolitan PD contacted the Harrisonburg Major Crimes
It is a public
Division
safety issue.
and noted that the last known person that a missing person that they were investigating.
Word, Sean. It is beautiful here, isn't it? Isn't it
As a
beautiful?
result of that information, HPD Major Crimes was able to determine that through cell phone records, that contact took place in and around the area of the Moon Inn on Richmond Highway in Alexandria.
Favorite city on
And we
planet
received
Earth.
Contact from Fairfax Police Department, and Major O'Carroll's team contacted us. And so then we began this coordinated effort to track down more victims, unfortunately, that were at the hands of this shopping cart killer, Mr. Robinson. So now I'd like to introduce Major O'Connor.
I'm a tribal rebel flag. Special. Special. Hey, you have a great day, Brenda.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that.
Lordy,
Good
lordy,
afternoon,
lordy.
everyone. As introduced, I'm Major Ed O'Carroll. I have the pleasure of heading the Fairfax County Police Department's Major Crime, Cyber, and Forensics Bureau. 10 days ago, on December 7th, detectives from the Fairfax County, Virginia Police Department.
Special guest, I'm glad I have you here. The crazy bastards in the modding community finally listened to me, and they finally did it. It finally was released. Crusader Blade. It's Crusader Kings, but when you get into a conflict, it kicks over into Mountain Blade and you can fight that battle. Last night I fought a battle, charged headfirst on my horse, men behind me, sword raised, immediately beef it, somersault off my horse, get disfigured. When I go back into Crusader Kings, into the overworld map, my character's disfigured. It's a beautifully made mod. Ooh, super into Marilyn Manson and Leonard Skinner. Special, I bet you that dude who has, if he has a tribal rebel flag tattooed on his back, you know he's got an X scar. If he's got like he's a Rob Zombie fan. He's probably like a, dude probably has like a Power Man 5000 tattoo nobody wants to talk about.
I received a call for assistance from the Metropolitan Washington.
Won't stop bringing up
DC
Five
Police
Finger Death
Department,
Punch.
For help in locating
I don't want to hear that.
the missing female.
I don't listen
My
to that
team
shit.
immediately pulled resources together to aid in the search. Detectives were informed that
Coolest thing about this state, this shit's actually 99 cents here. Like it says on the can. It's cool. It's nice.
Cheyenne Brown, 29, of Washington, D.C., took the Metro from Washington, D.C. to the Huntington Metro stop on September
It's gonna be
30th.
here special. They're gonna make
Never
that.
returned.
That's that's the
Digital
logical
data showed
conclusion to
Ms.
what I've been
Brown
playing.
Was in the 61
Is that it's a
block,
tactical war
Richmond
game where you
Highway,
get to FPS.
possibly at the Moon Inn.
Special, you could logically mod any FPS game to work with this framework with like what's the game? Hearts of Iron. You could do like Hearts of Iron, but when you go into it, it kicks over into like a modded version of Battlefield 1942, and you can play through the battles of World War II. I got a feeling they're gonna do that.
On the night of her disappearance. Homicide detectives, with assistance of a cadaver dog from the George Mason University Police Department, responded to the Moon Inn in that immediate area and conducted a search. Unfortunately, we were unable to locate Miss Brown or any evidence relevant to her whereabouts. My team traveled to Harrisonburg to meet the chief and her detective team and to gather additional intelligence
Oh shit.
about the link between
Special guest, that's devious, dude. That's cool. You could make the Sims portion of that game free to play. Sorry. Hey, we're now having a development circle on a video game. Special guests now. You see, we're creative types, so we do this all the time. We'll stop and just talk. We'll write a whole movie in a conversation. But yeah, this is a really Sims Poland 1938. Special, I'd play that though, is the thing. Like, I would play that. I think there's a reason, like, when I took the quiz as to what year I am on New Year's, I was 1947. I am the year 1940s. Lux was 1969. She was Woodstock and shit. I'm over here 1947 being a bummer. I'm literally that song from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Remember That We Suffered. Like, it was a bummer sauce.
Miss Brown and our suspect, and the nexus to Fairfax County. Detectives from my homicide squad coordinated with the Metro Transit Police Department and actually located video surveillance of Miss Brown at the Huntington Metro stop. on September
Word
30th.
special.
We authored a search warrant.
I'm also Blanche from the
executed
Golden
cellular
Girls.
data. We received it in
Which Golden Girl am I? The slutty Southern one. Thank you for asking.
immediately
Blanche.
confirming that Miss Brown and the suspect were at the same location on September 30th.
No,
The
I'm
night
1947.
of her
Such a bummer
disappearance.
year.
Video surveillance
Cut to Neutral
confirms
Milk Hotel.
that the victim
Just
and the
really
suspect
loud.
were
The only girl
in
I
Washington, D.C.
ever
at the
loved
same metro stop on that fateful
was
night.
born with roses
This past
in
Wednesday
her
morning,
eyes.
new information was provided that took my detectives back to the area
1978,
of
the year with no rock singles. Special guest is the disco year. What are you talking about? You know, you're a very rock and roll person.
and their original search. Wednesday
You're my
afternoon,
de facto rock and roll
just 2
friend.
days ago, on December 15th, homicide detectives found what had caught their eye which is in the wooded area just off Route 1 of an item that required a little bit more of investigative research. Remembering
What year
that
was
the
it when they
victims
blew
in
up all the
Harrisonburg
disco
murders
records?
were transported by using a
That
shopping
happened.
cart. Detectives observed a shopping cart in the wooded area.
Been streaming so
Not
much,
far
I've been
from the
considering getting contacts
Besides
for
the
the
shopping
first time
cart
in my
was
life.
a loan container.
So you motherfuckers can see my
Detectives
peepers.
looked inside the loan container.
My Manson lamps.
Their worst fears were confirmed. They observed what appeared to be human remains. We contacted the Office of the Medical Examiner. They responded, along with an anthropologist from the George Mason University, Dr. Falsetti. And thank you to the doctor and the team. The initial analysis done on the scene.
Man. Joan Jett. She covered Season of the Witch, which special guest, as you know, isn't a real song. It's not a real song. Don't let special guest fool you. It's not a real song. He's gonna have a counter argument. It's not a real song. That was made. That's a song made to be in movies or something. That's not. That's the sound. That's like the Cantina theme from Star Wars. That's not. Like, that's music, but it's not. No, it's like a fictional. I don't know. I guess by my logic, the Gorillaz music
Likely
isn't real.
Human remains were inside.
So I see the hole in my
Through
logic
a
here.
coordinated effort between the Fairfax County Police Department, Harrisonburg, the Metropolitan Police Department, detectives tentatively.
She's a Kim
believe
Fowley
the
apologist?
discovered
I didn't know that about
container
Joan Jett.
Are that of Miss Brown. As the chief Chief Davis mentioned, the tentative identification is based upon a very distinct tattoo
I'm all about
Miss
Blanche.
Brown had on her body. We are working with the Department of Forensic Science and further DNA testing to positively and scientifically confirm.
There's times where, like, there's a situation, like, Lux really likes the Golden Girls, right? So, like, that's one of the reasons I wanted to take the Golden Girl quiz. And Betty White had passed away. Now, we haven't talked about it too much on this show. Lux, like I said, is a super fan of the Golden Girls. We have a Betty White pillow. And we're gonna take our time on Betty White. All right, guys? Like, as a team. We're just in a lot of positive energy Lux's way about it. It's been a face in her house for a long time. So, when I'm watching the Golden Girls, there's times where I'm like, well, why don't you just slut your way through this like a Southern Belle? And then Blanche does that exact thing, and it works out. I'm just saying, like, Blanche is where it's at.
Her identity. Sadly, these remains were not.
It's
alone
Cavenders with
in the
some
container.
grave dirt.
The remains of another.
It's not the
unknown
second most
identified
important song in
individual.
1968.
Detectives have been.
I'm sure
working
Mahavishnu
nonstop
Orchestra released something in
on this
1968,
case.
or
Since being
McLaughlin
notified
was
of Miss Brown's
attached to
disappearance
something in
in
68.
Fairfax County. We have determined that the
Sean, did you say you met Betty White at Petco? What kind of pets does Betty White have? Dogs? Cats? Birds? Unusual amount of hamsters? God forbid she's a snake person. But, not sponsored by Petco, but there's a variety of pet supplies at Petco. What kind of pets does Betty White have? I guess I could Google that. Did she have? It's hard. I'm never going to think that Betty White is actually gone. She lived for forever. It's been old my whole life.
suspect in custody in Harrisonburg was communicating with Miss Brown, utilizing a dating website. Detectives are hoping that further examination of these records that we have and more that are coming will provide additional information on who the second victim is. We have a lot.
Was that Betty White in Lake Placid? I was so young last time I watched that. I forget. Was that really Betty White in Lake Placid? That's great. That's great. I remember the old lady with the crocodile. I just can't remember the specifics on the old lady. It's been so long. Hurdy-gurdy, man. No. No. Wait. What did Nielsen have going on in 68? Because if you ask John Lennon, probably around 68 who his favorite artist is, he's going to say Nielsen. And in my opinion, Harry Nielsen was the person that was one of the many studio vocalists that filled in for Paul McCartney after he died in that damn car. Yeah, Paul is dead. I'm going into the Paul is dead conspiracy, guys. Buckle the fuck up. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that Harry Nielsen was, I mean, surely he had something going on in 68 special. Oh yeah, Sean, when Betty White was young, she looked like she could throw it. She looked like she could roll dice with them cheeks, dude. She was, yeah, no, she was thick as a biscuit. No, he didn't bring him to London, but that doesn't mean that fucking tapes couldn't have been passed, reels couldn't have been passed. Because they had an awful lot of communication. And a lot of Lennon's solo career, he's hanging out with Nielsen. But I think Nielsen, and they're not going to have an on the books trip, because MI5 would be organizing the trip for Nielsen to go ghost some, you know, let's say Nielsen is Billy Shears, if you will. That's true. No, Aerial Ballet was actually considered like a commercial flop. It has a cult. It had a cult following. It was a reprint. RCA was when he was still with RCA. No, that's when Lennon would have really found him and loved him toward the end of the Beatles. You're right. You're right. My timeline's off. My timeline's off. Don't look at my board. I reveal a room where it's just Harry Nielsen and Paul McCartney and all the Beatles and fucking pins and yarn. And I'm like, don't, just throw that away. Just throw that away. But Tupac is 50 Cent. Carrying on.
To do. While the investigation, the multi-jurisdictional investigation,
Ooh, one of the Beach Boys
young,
organized the trip.
we are in the early stages.
That sounds about
believe
right.
that the deaths were at the hand of the serial killer. The suspect, thankfully in custody at the Rockingham County, Virginia
Ooh, we get into
jail.
Laurel Canyon shit.
And again, we believe him to be involved in the death.
Oh, the one that went to jail. Yeah, yeah.
These
Like the
two
Laurel Canyon involved
additional
motherfucker who flunked out of
innocent
that shit.
victims. Special thanks to the detective team, the lead detective, Detective Young, her squad, to our crime scene unit.
We're talking
all
about
our
the
staff,
Beatles. We
sworn
can try out the
and
Round
professional.
Boys again.
To our victim services, thank
I get
you.
heat and
It's a
love for
team
the
effort.
Round Boys.
There may be other victims in this case.
Get heat and love
we
for
are
the Round
asking
Boys.
for anyone
Change my face in front of you guys.
additional
See my eyes a
information
little better,
to
maybe.
come forward. Call the Fairfax County Police Department
And I'm bitching.
Major Crimes Bureau at 703-246-7800.
I wouldn't
Tips
change
can
having
also be
the
submitted
one
anonymously
y'all that I bitch at
through our
around to
Crime
bitch about.
Solvers
And by the way, love y'all.
And that phone number is 1-866-411-TIPS. That's 1-866-411-TIPS. Again, anonymous tipsters can make that call, and there is a reward program for information that leads
I
to
bet there is in Chaos. Yeah, isn't there a bunch of Laurel Canyon
my remark
shit? Yeah,
is
Laurel
in closing.
Canyon gets crazy. That's a. I
not to
believe
the
all of that
suspect,
shit.
and it's not to my
I
team.
do.
It's
I
to
believe
the
the Laurel
impacted families.
Canyon stuff.
I'm sorry. My deepest condolences. This police department, the Harrisonburg Police Department, all the agency mentioned are absolutely committed. Justice will prevail, and the offender will be held accountable
Pardon.
for what he did. And we haven't ruled out they. I'll use the plural.
Double
term.
pardon.
Maybe what they did.
Sorry,
and
I'm on
how
one today.
he or they did it. Thank you.
Sean, I was listening to Abbey Road today. Abbey Road makes me think of my dear friend and frequent voice on the channel, Chief. You know Iro on Twitch. That's our, I think, mutually our favorite Beatles record. We've talked about it a lot together. When his daughter was born, we got a Abbey Road onesie I got an Abbey Road onesie for her. That is one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite records. Period. Abbey Road. It's one of the only records where you see the Beatles really flex any kind of technical gifts they might have accrued over their career. You know, they never claimed to be the best musicians. They never claimed to be like guitar virtuosos. And you can tell, like that's what I like about the Beatles is that it's not. I was listening to the Rick Rubin interviewing Paul McCartney documentary on Hulu, and he was running down. Paul was explaining like what we were going for with this song was our version of this or that, right? And that's what I love about it is it's their version of this or that because they can't necessarily get to what they were, like they're not as technically gifted as what they were influenced by, or they just genuinely didn't have the technology to do what they were influenced by because in their early career, they're stuck on the islands, And I love that. I love that about the Beatles. I love that about Paul McCartney. But when you get to Abbey Road, you get to probably the only full LP of theirs where they're genuinely flexing everything they've learned. How to craft melody, how to wrap it around. The B-side is a medley of songs they never really finished. They just put them all together. That's an interesting thing to do as a composer, in my opinion. Two people sitting together and doing that. Special guests and I have done forms of that. There's a lot in Abbey Road that influences me as a producer, if that makes sense, when it comes to, siding between, no glare lens stickers. Oh. You can get no glare. But yeah, Abbey Road best. I might try that. Abbey Road is their best record. I think like technically their best record. Like when it comes to notes played with precision, it's spectacular. They take the time to shine every artist, every individual member. Like they do. Like they give a song to Ringo. It's like a joke, but it's great. Like every individual bit of Abbey Road is fucking phenomenal. If they gonna catch this serial killer guy. Am I missing anything in the news today? Anybody hear about anything? People sleeping on I-95. Prince Andrew's in hot water.
So, Sam, we have not positively identified.
Elizabeth Holmes was found guilty of 4 out of 11 counts of fraud. We'll get to Theranos. That's what I was forgetting. We got a verdict in the Theranos thing.
That will hopefully, in short order, help us identify this unidentified person. We do have leads on who it may be. The state of decomposition was so bad that it's going to take a little bit of work. But we have leads about a missing person in particular in the area, last seen in the area, that we're following very closely. In this area? Last seen in this area. Bruce? As I understand it, Ms. Brown was 4 months pregnant.
The White Album is interesting, Special, because, it's a double LP. And so I feel like when it comes to songwriting, yeah, I agree with you. The White Album has the well-written songs, not produced, like almost produced with speed. Like the White Album sounds like it was like, we have things to say, like we have material to get out there. The White Album is almost like massive, like it's a double LP, and there's a lot of John on that record. Just being John in a room, it feels like there's a lot of moments in the White Album where it feels like you're just in the room with them, which is because they set up a mic and just did it in a room. And yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Special, a concept record to a singles collection. Yeah. And it's different than a singles collection. This is like Johnny Cash finally doing In a Room Alone, where he does a record all by himself in a room. It's just him in a room by himself. To to like, you know, like The Wall or something. Like they're Matt, like I think even the White Album as a concept is really interesting. It's just one of those that's like, it's almost like a scrapbook. It has a climbing and de-escalation that kind of keeps you going through it. It's, in my opinion, the White Album's track listing is really well placed as a record. Sorry, Beatles nerd. Let's Beatles nerd for a little bit. But yeah, definitely like the White Album. I'll always put on Abbey Road though. That's the record I go to put on. I'm kind of I'm a production nerd, so when I go for the Beatles, I'm going for that normally. Paul's vocals or the rooftop performance. Something about that one gets me. It's just a beautiful live performance. What up, Graf? What up, Graf? How's everybody doing today?
Yeah, so I've spoken with the Office of the Commonwealth Attorney. I've spoken with the Commonwealth Attorney. He's aware of this case. He was when it first came to light.
My bad popped in the most delicious way just now.
To our surprise, that we have 2 victims, not 1.
So
that's something that's part of the investigation, and we haven't ruled anything out on potential charges for the person or persons responsible for these deaths. As I said in my comments, and I'll emphasize them because they're important. Justice will.
It was George Martin with the backmasking. I think George Martin had the idea. How Do You Sleep by John Lennon's good. John Lennon's solo work is almost like he picked up where they were at with the White Album, in my opinion, when it comes to music made with a pace. Like he was doing things quick. His solo work, it was raw and quick and quick. Like How Do You Sleep was like functionally live in a room. I think that's like a 4-track recording, like the master tapes of it. Some of the solo John Lennon work is meant to be almost rough around the edges. It's him showing the other side of himself. You know, you have the peacenik that was particularly propagated by Apple Music or Apple. And then you have the rough and tumble person we kind of know now that he's no longer with us, and we've heard stories about his life, that John Lennon wasn't necessarily a pacifist, you know. In his solo work, in my opinion, with the production of it, he's conveying that to you as a member of the audience. Like, I'm rough around the edges. I've maybe done a little smack and hit my old lady. Whoa. Whoa, John Lennon, you would do that? John Lennon? My John Lennon? And it's like, yeah, no, he was definitely that. He's been that guy. And there's things you can tell in his solo work. You can hear it. You can hear it in the production, of all places. Not in the lyrics. He might peacenik through the lyrics. But in the production, you can hear the scruff on his face. It's interesting. Pacifist. Yeah, he might pacifist that motherfucker.
About the degree of cooperation. We certainly don't want to compromise the integrity of Chief Warner's investigation or our pending investigation, but I'll let the chief address that. And DNA forensic evidence is always something that we're seeking. As we mentioned, the state of decomposition for the 2 victims found here in Fairfax County was so bad that it's going to take a little while to get 100% certain identification, but we have every reason to believe that Cheyenne Brown is one of the 2 persons in that container. And there's physical evidence as well to tie him to each scene or to all the cases? There's certainly a mounting evidence.
You talking about moving?
Puts our killer right here in Fairfax County, just like he was placed right there in Harrisonburg. So, Chief, do you want to add to that?
Regarding up here, yes, to the physical evidence, we're collecting physical evidence, of course, to echo Chief Davis. Certainly, we're collecting all of that for DNA, and so we're going to hone in on that for certain. And regarding his cooperation, he does have an attorney, so we have not had a statement from him, so no.
Chief Davis, 2 quick questions. Have you guys
No, Cobra Kai's
Yeah,
pretty
again,
good.
I don't mean to punt back to back, but I'll ask Chief Warner to describe some outreach that she has already had with Quantico. And then I'll reiterate, we are going to engage in a very thorough retrospective examination. We're working backwards right now. So thankfully, Anthony Robinson is in custody. We believe he's responsible for these 4 deaths, but what else is he responsible for? We know that he's had addresses as far north as New York, to Prince George's County, to Washington, D.C., and we know he's obviously traveled all the way down to Harrisonburg. But where else has he been? Where else has he laid his head? Where else has he worked? Who does he know in all the jurisdictions in between? So it's going to be a real thoughtful, thorough effort, because we need to work, again, with the jurisdictions to see if any of their missing persons meets the profile that we're establishing here for our killer's profile.
Do you guys like them?
And MO and all those types of things.
And a quick follow-up. You mentioned that they were meeting at a hotel and had met or different hotels and met dating apps. Do you believe that there's a sexual motive at all? Were any of these victims sexually abused?
I don't know if anybody could hear it out there in the audience. The reporter just asked if there's a sexual motive behind the serial crimes that he's reporting. Sorry, we've been watching through this whole Beatles conversation, a press conference, serial killer possibly in Virginia after 4 bodies found. A serial killer responsible for 4 deaths.
Yeah, I don't know that with certainty, but again, that's something that we're obviously exploring. Chief, do you want to add to the earlier piece?
Just that, we are working backwards right now. That's what we have to do. He's in custody now.
Right, Special?
That's what we
I
have
know
to
him
do,
too.
steps
I know
just
D's.
to go backwards, right? Because your question was working with the federal government.
I was talking about D.
Sure, they're
Newts.
helping us now. The main thing is that he is in custody.
From,
so they are assisting us in that investigation because they have a bigger web for us. So to answer your question, then is yes.
It sounds like the victims that you know of now were people missing over a period of weeks or months. Do you have any working theory as to how far back you're going to be looking? Could it be going back years and years, or more recent?
You take it easy, Danny.
Well, we really don't know. Again, we don't know. That's why we're asking for the public's help. And we're scanning. This is
Why are we
around
zoomed
through
in
all
on
of
a
our
phone?
fusion centers.
Live
Do you know
streaming
of any
this
other
shit.
missing
People are
persons?
liking this
Trying to gather
post.
as much intel as possible. And
What's
Chief said
happening?
it best. We are working backwards. That's why the Major put it out. Do you know? Is there any more information? Please get it to us.
It was a large plastic container, and like Major O'Carroll described, adjacent to the container where we found the remains of our 2 victims was a shopping cart. So probably not.
They try to implicate Bubbles in this. Bubbles didn't have nothing to do with this. Bubbles wouldn't do this. Shopping cart folk don't roll like that. That's not a shopping cart pun. Angel, if you heard that, I'm sure you got more shopping cart serial killer related puns on deck. If you can, torture special guest with them. Crack cocaine.
Not remarkable to serial killers going back many years in many other places across the country. A remarkable absence of a criminal history. A remarkable absence. So that's why we're going to need help from family, friends, associates, employers, neighbors.
I love Trailer Park
anyone
Boys.
who can shed a little bit of light.
Special turned me on to Trailer
on
Park
Anthony
Boys.
Robinson's,
Classic, man.
profile.
Classic.
I think he was
Forever
pretty
ago.
transient. I think he
Forever
had
ago.
many jobs over the years. But
They did
again,
graph, I believe so.
That transient nature is has rather prompted us to figure out where he's been over the last.
Lady keeps her
several
pants
years. And this,
high and tight.
Like you said, this could go back. We're going into this wide open, clear-minded, open eyes to see.
Oh, she looks mean. Like, did she hear me say that shit? Lux is back. I don't have the soundboard up. Oh yeah. Oh, phone call level fires, yo.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I said we have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of digital evidence in this
Erica,
case.
you got him.
A lot of search
Erica,
warrants.
you got Rumor
that
Patrol for
have
me?
and will be written.
You near
Let me just give you
who my
a
mods
time frame.
is.
An autopsy is underway today. This case is still active to uncover the two remains in the one container. Has had us busy yesterday and today. It's a tragedy. I see you kind of shaking your head, and I agree. This case has a shake in our head. Why? Because the victims did nothing wrong. Didn't have to happen. But justice will prevail. So we have a lot of work to do, and I do think from the video surveillance that we found, from the digital footprint that has been left by at least one of our victims and the suspect, this case is falling together to hold that offender accountable. So we have released the suspect's or the arrestee's photo. And as the chief said, when we did look at his criminal history, when we started doing our workup,
look.
it's absent. Actually, the only thing
Our
that showed
stalker
was
is
the 4
back.
charges in Harrisonburg, the 2 murders and the felony disposal of human remains. So we will
Probably sitting somewhere
locate
shaped like a
every step
meatball.
that Mr. Robinson
With his
took,
tiny penis.
because he interacted with people. We know
Not
he's killed
understanding
some of
why
them.
the new Matrix was
There
woke.
might have been some that escaped or ran across him.
Bad at hacking.
And have information. So we are
All his
working
good hacker
backwards.
friends killed themselves.
We've added additional team members from Fairfax, but this is a multi-jurisdictional case that will likely take us even out of Virginia. No, we're not intending to release the video right now. We're working with the families. We're trying to give them as much information because we're hours into this.
Oh, from December
still in double
17th.
digits.
Did they find this guy? Oh, snap. Is this old? We got a live White House press conference, though.
Agencies across the economy that will promote competition, protect consumers and workers, and lower prices. When dominant middlemen
But do we get that stimulus check? Are we going to get a stimulus check? Probably not.
control so much of the supply chain, they are able to increase their own profits at the expense of both farmers and ranchers who make less for their product and consumers at the grocery store who pay more.
Oh,
So just to be
what the hell,
clear,
Christy?
farmers, ranchers,
They
and
found the
poultry
guy?
Growers, of course, they are growing the meat or overseeing the meat, goes to the meat
Moving
packers
on.
and processors. That is where we see the middleman. Goes to grocery stores, restaurants, and other retailers, and then to consumers. And our concern is about where prices are being elevated, and they should not be.
Special, you're not digging it? Okay, so, like, you know, she's a little elbowy. But, like, dude, let me tell you, I'm kind of liking the black shirt today. I'm kind of liking her black blouse vibe, you know? Zuck's twin. Oh, yeah, I guess if you put Zuck in a red wig, yeah. Word. I'm into it. Don't tell anybody I'm into it, I guess. I'm just kidding. But, you know, again, redhead ladies who don't seem funky, not really my type, but, you know.
Many farmers and ranchers now have little or no choice of buyer for their product and little leverage to negotiate, causing their share of every dollar spent on food to decline. 50 years ago, ranchers got over 60 cents of every dollar a consumer spent on beef, compared to about 39 cents today. Similarly,
Shit is
hog
going
farmers
up.
got 40 to 60 cents on each dollar spent 50 years ago, down to about 19 cents today. So that obviously is a significant concern. If you see the wholesale beef value and the cattle value, that should not be how the gap between the lines.
Meatball
Just wanted
man.
to highlight again, we announced we're investing up to $1
What's the actor Zimmy says he looks like? I was gonna get a meme of it. I got a good Gerard meme out there.
billion
Y'all made some
in
good
new and
ones.
expanded independent meat and poultry processing capacity, workforce development, and other
Fucking
assistance.
joke
All of
sauce.
that was included in the American Rescue Plan. We're continuing to strengthen rules to protect farmers, ranchers, and other producers, and we're enforcing existing competition laws vigorously and fairly. And our new White House Competition Council will make sure
Oh,
agencies work
especially,
together
yeah,
as
yeah,
appropriate.
yeah.
Finally, we're bringing greater transparency to the industry. The USDA announced steps on that back in August, and we'll continue to build on that. Also, just wanted to highlight that yesterday the Department of Justice announced 2 important new steps to address gun violence and keep guns out of the wrong hands. First, they issued a final rule making clear that federally licensed firearms dealers must sell safe storage devices that are compatible with the firearms they sell. Individuals who choose to keep a firearm have a responsibility to safely store their firearms. This rule will make it easier for gun owners to purchase a safe storage device and keep guns from being stolen and used by criminals, accessed by children, or obtained by other people who shouldn't have access to the weapon. Second, the Department of Justice issued a best practices guide to federally licensed firearms dealers to make sure they understand their obligations to comply with the federal laws and keep guns out of the wrong hands. And of course, this announcement builds on the work the President and the administration did over the course of 2021, which represented more action on gun violence prevention via executive authority than any president in a first year in office in history. With that, Darlene, why don't you kick us off?
Thanks, Jen. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Team. I just wanted to start off with getting an update on the 500 million at-home test kits that you all are supposed to be sending out at some point this month. Can you say if the contract has been signed yet? And if not, when do you expect that to be signed? And also the website, what is the status of getting that up and running?
Sure. Let me give you an update of where we are in the process. So, as Jeff Zients said last week, the Department of Defense and HHS are already executing on an accelerated contracting timeline. This is the largest, of course, over-the-counter
Same sad meatball, man.
And the RFP, the request for proposal that has been sent out to industry, allows us to best understand logistics, timing, and manufacturing considerations. So where we are now is that the RFP has been closed as of today, and we are currently evaluating the responses to it, which means we are finalizing the contracts.
Right, Special?
Well, I expect we can share additional details with all of you soon, and certainly we hope to do that. We're on track to...
I'm going to play all of this 51 minutes of this press conference, by the way. We're going to watch and react to it. I'm doing it. So...
to start seeing movement on some of the awards through the RFP.
The only
this week.
meatball on the
first
plate.
Delivery from manufacturers
The
will
only
start
meatball on the plate.
later this month. That's our expectation. When we have those deliveries in hand, we will put the website up, make it available, so that people can order tests at that point in time.
And then secondly, do you have anything
Okay,
to
wait, I
share on
can't
what the
kick back
president's
this
message
way.
will be on
Which way do
Thursday
I-
when he goes to the Hill for
This
the
way.
anniversary of
Sure.
1/6?
Absolutely. I can give you some highlights at this point in time, and obviously the president is still working through and reviewing his own
I bumped the
remarks.
desk hard.
On the afternoon, what you can expect, I should say, is that the president will speak to the historical significance of January 6th and what it means for the country 1 year later. As a reminder, on the afternoon of January 6th, the president called what was happening at the Capitol then an unprecedented assault on our democracy and an attempt to subvert our Constitution and interfere with the peaceful transfer of power. So on Thursday, the president is going to speak to the truth of what happened, not the lies that some have spread since, and the peril it has posed to the rule of law and our system of democratic governance. He will also mark that day, commemorate the heroes of January 6th,
Damn, Rich, really?
especially the brave men and women of law enforcement who fought to
Bogendorf.
uphold the
Who are they?
Constitution and protect the Capitol and the lives of the people who were there. Because of their efforts, our democracy withstood an attack from a mob, and the will of the more than 150 million people who voted in the presidential election was ultimately registered by Congress. And he will also speak to the work we still need to do to secure and strengthen our democracy and our institutions, to reject the hatred and lies we saw on January 6th, and to unite our country. And obviously, we'll have more to preview as we get closer to the speech.
One more. Sure. Since the president didn't take questions from us either today or yesterday, can you tell us whether he can live with a smaller Build Back Better package or a package that doesn't have the child tax credit in it, or with only employed people qualifying?
Oh, it's
qualifying
those
for the
guys'
child
special
tax
guest.
credit, which
Damn.
is what Senator Manchin
That makes
says
sense.
he wants.
Well, I can tell you that the president absolutely wants to get Build Back Better done, is committed to get it done because it will lower costs for Americans across the country, childcare, elder care, health care, a lot of the areas that are impacting American families' budgets across the country. I can tell you that those are conversations he and many members of our senior team will continue to have with a range of senators who are involved in this process in the weeks ahead, and that we're not going to outline them in more detail from here. And I would also just reiterate that the president sees and recognizes and values the contribution of the child tax credit and what it did to help lower prevent 40% of kids from being in poverty last year, and it's something that he advocated for, he introduced, and he called for himself. So he absolutely wants to see an extension of the child tax credit. I would note, this doesn't answer your question, but I thought this was an interesting thing. Someone shared with me this morning that the way it was designed is that payments are going out every month for 6 months. As soon as people file their taxes, they will get the other half. So we absolutely want it to be extended. We're going to fight for that. But there is also additional payment that will come to people who are eligible when they file their taxes. Go ahead.
Hey, Jen. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And since the president didn't take questions from us, we weren't able to clarify. He said to the vaccinated and boosted, quote, you can still get COVID, but it's very unlikely you'll be seriously ill, roughly what he said.
That's how it seems to be. Erica can kind of back us up on that. I got the vaccine and having a fine time. Glad I can go do shit again. I'm well aware that I can still get it. I'm gonna wear a mask and shit and still act like I can get it. But I'm gonna go do shit and be able to go do shit because I got that card now. So
Reached a point in the pandemic now where he's basically saying to Americans, accept the fact you may get the virus, but if you're vaccinated, it won't be that bad.
I think what he's saying to Americans is, we know there are going to be breakthrough cases. We've had them at the White House. We are seeing them across the country, and certainly elevated rates of cases in certain communities across the country, including in Washington, D.C. But the step that's most important that people can take to reduce the potential for hospitalization and death is to get vaccinated, get boosted.
Christy, we issue what's called a child tax credit right now. It's a paycheck, like $300 per child or whatever. So like, I have one child, we're divorced, so they split the check in half, but I just give mine to baby mama. You know what I'm saying? It's just a child tax credit. It's not like a stimulus check. It fucking sucks. We need that stimulus check, in my opinion. The economy needs it. The people need it. The people want it. Yeah.
He's not telling anyone to accept anything. He's just conveying to people what they can do to protect themselves. He's also said very clearly, and I think he's illustrated this in what he said publicly, as have our doctors, that we're going to be direct and straightforward with the American people. We know cases are going up, but we also know that if people are boosted, it is going to significantly reduce their potential to be hospitalized and certainly prevent to die. And that is what we're conveying to the public.
Okay, so let's be straight here for a second. Cases are rising across the country. Tests are hard to come by in many places, or there's long lines for them. Schools are closing again or having to go virtual. And that's not just because of the weather in some parts of the country, but because of the pandemic. There is a sense among many that the country has lost control of the virus. Would the White House agree with that?
We would not. And here's why. We're in a very different place than we were a year ago, Ed. 200 million people are vaccinated. Those are people who are protected, seriously protected from illness and death from the virus. We have also just purchased the largest over-the-counter purchase of tests in history, 500 million tests. That builds on the fact that we have already distributed 50 million tests back in December to rural health centers, to community health centers. The fact that we have 20,000 sites across the country where you can get free tests. The fact that next week people can get reimbursed for their tests. And we are going to continue to build on that. It also, on schools, I would say 97% of schools are open across the country. And the president wants school to be open. That's why months ago, even when people questioned his advocacy for this funding, he advocated for $130 million in the American Rescue Plan and $10 billion to cover testing.
Oh yeah, no, you just act like you're still gonna get COVID if you got the vax, but I hold firm. I think at this point, again, I'm the most ill person a lot of you probably know outside of like our chronically ill folk that hang out, you know, like Deb and I think Rich, you know, y'all are probably more fucked up than me, I won't lie. I love you. But yeah, that's get it. I'll probably think you're a fucking pussy if you don't, or you just don't want to go do stuff. I like to I'm gonna go do stuff now that I have when I get my COVID card double stamped or whatever.
even when many people said that was not necessary and was not needed. That has all been distributed to states. If states have not used it, and some have not,
Really
and
special.
school
Yeah, it'd be
districts have
cool
not
if
used
you would
it,
get some
now's
money
the
if you
time
get
to use it.
positive.
So I would note that we have taken steps to prepare for any contingency, any moment, and we're working to implement and build on that from here.
He mentioned, you just
Yeah, it just seems from my own experience, like Deb, Erica, the people I've talked to whose familial situation have gotten it, where it's like one party isn't vaxxed and one party is vaxxed, it does seem like the party that isn't vaxxed gets it worse. So, I don't know. But maybe, did I misunderstand the way that she said it, you know?
mentioned outbreaks here at the White House. Is it a large number? Is it anyone? I know there's a policy that you're only really going to let us know if it's the top 4 individuals in the government or their spouses. But has there been a wide outbreak here in the West Wing or across the White House campus?
Well, our policy is that, which I think is important for the public to know, because it is in the public interest to know, and of course your interest. If there is anyone who has a close contact, as deemed by the White House Medical Unit, with the president, the vice president, the first lady, or the second gentleman, we will make that information available, as we have done, as those instances have occurred. And I was only conveying there are breakthrough cases here. There's 2,000 people who work on the White House complex, right? The 99% of them are vaccinated, and there will be breakthrough cases here. Thanks to the vaccination, those cases have been mild. But again, there are rising case numbers across the country, and we expect to be in line with that.
Just on another topic, you kind of discussed this with Darlene, but Senator Durbin today suggested that Build Back Better is kind of taking
free money
back burner spot.
There's a lot of alliteration there.
A lot of these there. As voting rights pushes ahead as we near the MLK holiday, is that the White House's stance right now, that voting rights is sort of issue number 1 up there, or should be?
Well, we're working, and you've seen, I'm sure, the Dear Colleague letter that Leader Schumer put out just a couple of days ago, and we're working in lockstep with Leader Schumer on that, on getting voting rights done. He's obviously put out a timeline for that. We're going to work with him on getting that done. But that doesn't change our commitment to Build Back Better. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. Why hasn't the CDC revised the definition of what it means to be fully vaccinated yet, given that the president has spoken about boosters for months now?
Sure, it's a good question, Jackie. I don't speak for the CDC. Obviously, they speak for themselves, given they make decisions based on data and science. So I'd point you to them. I know they have a COVID briefing tomorrow.
Had the president, emphasizing the importance of boosters for months, and people have to ask the question, or a lot of people are asking the question, would revising the guidance cause some sort of logistical or political?
They just changed the quarantine time here, didn't they?
The White House isn't ready to embrace something like, not being able to go to restaurants, people go to offices, or industries that have suffered labor.
We have boosters available for every American. They can get boosted now, regardless of what the CDC guidance says. Whether we're just approved for the booster or you were approved.
Yeah, I know through the new guguidelines, they don't give a shit if I'm negative. They'll give me that shit
It's up to
anyway.
the CDC,
I got that shit
and
anyway.
they make those decisions based on data and science.
Will we have any update on when they might make a decision on that, given that there's been so much time?
I encourage you to ask them that question when they participate in the COVID briefing tomorrow.
Okay. And then similar line of questioning, but this time about the FDA.
Okay.
There have been some decisions by the FDA over the last few months
Deb,
that have
that's
happened
interesting.
without consulting
That's
the
interesting.
panel of independent experts that we saw for authorizations for the vaccines themselves. We haven't seen that with boosters. A couple examples: on the 19th of November, FDA authorized the booster for all adults. 29th, the CDC announced people 18 plus should get boosters. December 9th, the FDA authorized boosters for 16 and 17-year-olds, and just yesterday, the FDA amended the emergency use authorization for the Pfizer booster for kids ages 12 to 15. So I guess my question is, why has the protocol been different with the boosters than it was for the emergency use authorization of the vaccine itself?
Jackie, the FDA makes their own decisions, not driven by what the White House is telling them what to do, so I would point you to the FDA to get any comment on that.
So it doesn't, I guess then the White House is not, or the FDA is not getting rid of its independent panel of experts by any White House guidance?
Absolutely not. And again, I think they would confirm that themselves. And I think what's important to step back here is recognize we're still in the middle of a pandemic. There are still far too many people who are not vaccinated. There are still kids who are at risk because there are not enough people, adults, vaccinated. And I think what we're all collectively trying to do here is protect more people and save more lives, whether you work here or at the CDC or the FDA.
Is the president then okay with the FDA making these authorizations without?
They really are
calling
special.
Their panel of experts.
Because the stimulus check
point
needs to
the
go
FDA
out.
and they can speak to their decision-making process.
And then real quick on the Florida Surgeon General and testing. What's your reaction to his comments that the U.S. needs to unwind its testing psychology where people are planning their lives around testing? Is that sound medical advice in the White House view?
I would really point to our own health and medical experts on when tests should be administered and utilized, and our focus on making them more available, accessible, and free to the public. Oh, good.
Real good. Is there any reason why the CDC did not include a testing component when it revised its guidance for isolation? Given that there is such a scarcity of tests, there's been some criticism that the CDC couldn't tell people they should get tested when they emerge from isolation, because then people try to get tests and they're not available and it might blow back onto the administration.
Again, the CDC makes these decisions. I expect they'll have an updated guidance if it hasn't already gone out. Go ahead.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Caitlin, come back to you.
Can you give us an update on the president's selection? You'll be shocked to hear me ask this.
The Fed.
Fed, yes, and in particular, whether he's made the decisions. Is it a question of the announcement not having been done, but the decisions are made?
I don't have anything more for you at this moment. I expect we will have more soon, and I will let the
Damn,
president
Erica,
speak to
really?
his decision. And
They're
who
not
he
paying
will
you?
select.
Katya Dimitrieva and Jennifer Jacobs.
I don't think
are
she's getting
reporting
paid
that,
leave. She got COVID.
Thomas Philip Jefferson is likely to be nominated.
She just said she's fucked. That's fucked up. Some kind of fundraiser for Erica or GoFundMe or something. It's fucking
For one of the seats,
crazy.
he would be just the fourth black man to hold a position on the central bank's board in history. Can you comment on Mr. Jefferson's candidacy, or whether, or what role equity will be playing in the president's determinations for all these seats?
Sure, I can't speak to an individual name. I can say that it has been a priority for the president to ensure that that equity and making sure there are diverse choices and diverse leaders representing different roles in the Federal Reserve, just as has been a priority for him in other points in parts of his government, is an important part of his decision-making process.
And can we just go back to the testing issue?
Sure.
Do you have a sense of how long the $500 million will be, spread out in terms of timeline? They'll start in January, and
Yeah.
when will all 500 be available?
I don't have an update on that at this point in time. Certainly understand the question. I expect as we finalize the contracts, which we're in the process of doing, we'll have more information on that. But again, we expect the first shipment from manufacturers to come soon.
And on testing, some of the biggest retailers, Walmart and Kroger, have raised the price of Abbott's Buy Max Now test. They've been selling it at cost because the deal with the White House had expired. They're now about $19-20, and they were at about $14 per box of 2 tests. I'm wondering whether there are any talks ongoing with retailers to bring that price back down to an at-cost level, or whether you're confident the increasing supply of tests will more or less work itself out in the market.
Well, I can't give you an update on any conversations. I can tell you that our objective is
exactly special. Sorry, exactly what Special said in the chat is exactly kind of how I feel about things. I think we've proven that a UBI is possible. You guys know I don't like socialism, but I think it's proven that you could do that one. You could pull that one off. You could do that one.
Of course,
We
to
could do that.
increase
It
and
could
scale
work.
up
It
access
could be nice.
to free tests. Hence, next week, people who have health insurance, 150 million Americans, will be able to get those tests or get reimbursed for those tests. Hence, sending 500 million tests for free out to Americans, 20,000 free testing sites, 50 million tests that we've already given out. So that is our focus from the federal government. Obviously, we want a competitive market out there that will lower the cost of tests over the course of time as well.
Sorry, one more. The president's announced today on the therapeutics, the ordering of more
Yeah.
Pfizer courses. Have you ruled out ordering more of Merck's pill?
Instead of giving a fucking
that had
stimulus check.
effective results in it.
He hasn't ruled anything out. I would say this is just as you've seen with any of our steps on COVID, whether it's the antivirals or other steps that have been approved out there in the market, the monoclonal antibodies. We're going to continue to build on the orders we have done to date. So this is just the recent step to expand what we have in our medicine cabinet.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thanks so much, Jen. With the CDC expected to update its guidance on isolating today, and the confusion that the agency generated over that guidance last week on what you should and should not do after you've tested positive, I'm wondering if the president himself thinks that the CDC has been clear on that.
Well, what I can tell you, Caitlin, is that CDC is offering its updated guidance in real time of a fast-moving and changing pandemic environment. And we've seen them change guidance and update guidance on other occasions. They made this recommendation last week based on science. The vast majority of transmission infectiousness occurs in the first 5 days after diagnosis with COVID-19, somewhere in the range of 85 to 90%. If people are asymptomatic, 5 days of strict mask wearing will prevent future transmission. Obviously, they are expected to update that today. I'm not sure if any information has gone out on that at this point in time, so I won't speak to that ahead of them. But they are just continuing to assess every day, every week, what information they can update on based on the science. And sometimes that means changing recommendations, that means adding to recommendations, but that's what happens when you lead with the data and the science and not lead with a clear communications plan.
Well, last week, Director Walensky did say that it wasn't just the science, it was also what people could tolerate. And I don't really think that much has changed in the last week. So I just am wondering if the White House thinks that the CDC is doing its best to offer the clearest guidance possible to people, because it seems like they're generating a lot of confusion when they do offer guidance.
Well, our objective is to provide clarity and help provide clarity on their decisions whenever we can. And so that's why I just listed out why they made the recommendation based on the science on the 5 days, the change to 5 days from 10 days.
On testing and the rule that's going to go into effect next week, where private insurers will reimburse people for the test that they're buying at home, you still have to file a claim for each test. Is that correct?
That's a good question. I don't have the details of exactly how it would work. I would assume.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to incentivize people to turn that shit into the government, because I just found out like yesterday or today that you have to return your results in. I haven't turned any at home testing results into anybody. Use them shits like a pregnancy test that showed up negative and throw that shit in the garbage. I didn't know that there was any infrastructure built to aggregate that kind of information. So hopefully they incentivize people, if they want that information from people, fucking pay us then. Maybe fucking claim if we have a positive home test result or something. Debbie's talking about getting,
some version of filing a claim or filing paperwork, but I can get you more specifics on it.
Has the administration done the math and added up the cost of what it would be to just make these at-home tests either $1 like some other countries have done, or free for everyone?
Well, we've looked at a range of options. I would say that they're free for everyone, they're actually, a lot of countries have done what we're about to do, right? Which is for people who want tests and they can request them online and get them for free. I don't know of countries, maybe there are some, that have sent them to every person living in their country. This is about making them free and accessible to the people who want them. And we want to do that, and there are some countries who have done that, some who have had to stop doing that because they haven't had enough access to tests, programs like that.
Well, we're still waiting on the
cut
details
the fuck
for
out
that.
on her.
I do want to switch subjects just for one more question. Why has the president not nominated an ambassador to Ukraine yet? And does he plan to do so soon?
He absolutely
Spicy
plans to
question.
nominate ambassador to Ukraine, just like any position. He's always looking to find the right person to nominate to fill the role, an important one.
Has he interviewed people for that
I'm not
position?
going to get into more details about a personnel process. Go ahead.
Jen, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So on Senator Manchin,
He'd like to announce Donald Trump, his new homeboy, as ambassador to Ukraine. That'd be fucking crazy and shit. And Biden was like, yo, the new ambassador to Ukraine, and y'all just gonna have to deal with this corn pop. It's Donald Trump.
he presented a proposal to you on December 14th, an outline of a Build Back Better framework that included $1.75 trillion in spending. To your knowledge, is that still available as a fallback position?
I'm just not going to get into private discussions or conversations with any members of the Senate from here. I know that's maybe a change.
What's up with dude's mask? Why do you have like the ducky mask? You have like a duck mask. I think it was wild.
But we feel that's the best way that this is going to work to get this done.
Okay, so and just so I'm clear, I mean, had you taken that framework and put it through the legislative process, we could have text, Senate could be moving towards a vote this week on something that Senator Manchin supports. Why is it that you haven't decided
Have
to?
you done a vote count on the
I
current proposal?
have not. Please correct me if that's wrong. But why not? If he's kind of the major stumbling block to getting legislation passed, why not go with something that he endorsed a month ago?
Well, I think, Trevor, it's important to note that, and I think Senator Manchin noted earlier today, we have a very slim majority in the Senate. That means you need every single senator from across the spectrum of the Democratic Party agreeing to what a package looks like moving forward. We're not naive about how challenging that is and how challenging it can be, but we feel good about the possibility of getting something done. What the final package looks like, I can't outline that for you at this point in time. I would note that when he spoke earlier today, he also said he saw a lot of good things in the package and a lot of good basis for discussion. And there's agreement among Democrats about lowering costs for Americans, about lowering the cost of healthcare, lowering the cost of childcare.
What about groceries and a stimulus check? I bet you there's no fucking talk of that for no reason, because these wealthy fucks don't give a shit about it. They don't give a fuck what we have, what we don't have. Prioritizing this nonsense. I am going to go use the restroom, and we are going to take a quick break, and I will be right back. Let's play some tunes. Again, be right back, babies. Sorry, messing with camera height. How's everybody doing? Hi, I'm back. Hello, Squid. How is everybody? Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to the show. Man, oh man, oh man. we're going a little extra hammer on the daily news today because, you know, I went late. So I feel like we're at the end of the news cycle for the day, so we got to catch things as they're happening. You know what I mean? Let me know how you're doing in the chat, everybody that stuck around. What's up, everybody? I came back. Yeah.
Hello.
What up? We got Justin who's in the chat here.
Just me and Luck.
Oh, hell yeah. What up, Justin? Boy, in the fucking alternate setup, and I like it. It's comfy. I can do music and shit here, too. And I've found a way to stream myself playing. Theoretically, let's hope it works. Seems like every time I get something set up and I go to actually do it, it's like it breaks. But I think I've nailed it. We're listening to this lady rant.
Again?
What was that?
I said, is Mercury a tardigrade again or something?
Oh, shit. There's mercury in my Gatorade. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what to do about it. It's been like that, yeah. No, it's been kind of the era of technical issues again, but not Wi-Fi related, which is nice. It's nice that it's not Wi-Fi related. The Wi-Fi dropping when we first started the channel was crazy. Crazy. Oh yeah, it's hard to tell if it's the real squid or not. I think capital S squid at the end of the squid is the real squid, but who even fucking knows? You gotta come in and not use the same fucking pattern as before if you're the same troll kind of dude. I don't know. Shout out all you dope ass admins. Erica, Justin.
Let's see.
Christy. Oh, wait. I need to do that. I can do that right now. I need to do that right now.
So sorry.
Let me do that. All right, let me press play on this White House press briefing. That's still going on. We're about halfway through.
Lowering
it.
the cost of elder care. That's a very strong basis. We've got to work through the details, and we'll keep having those conversations privately.
Got to work through the deets.
Again, I'm not going to give you a vote count or whip count from here, but I think it's important to note that you need 50 votes in order to, you need every single Democrat to support a package in order for it to move forward, even through reconciliation.
Is there any plan to re-engage with him at any point on this?
We're going to keep those
think so.
engagements and conversations private.
Okay, then another topic. Back in the summertime, when OPEC said that it was going to boost production of crude oil by 400,000 barrels per day, Sullivan said it's simply not enough during a critical moment in the global recovery. Today, OPEC stuck with that decision to keep the exact same amount of oil.
Will the
production
real
increase.
squid please show
Why is the White
themselves?
House's reaction different this time?
We need you to go in
I would say
Discord and
first,
confirm
you
it's
gave me
you.
the opportunity. We do appreciate the close coordination over the recent weeks with our partners, Saudi Arabia,
It's
UAE,
me.
and other OPEC Plus producers to help address
No.
price pressures. We welcome OPEC Plus decision to continue increases in
All right, where's that,
production.
Christy?
And together with our recent release from the SPR, we believe this should help facilitate the global economic recovery. We'll continue to monitor prices in the context of global economic growth and engage our OPEC Plus partners as appropriate. And obviously, as we said at the time, our objective is ensuring that the supply out there meets the demand. Obviously, we took our own steps in coordination with others as well.
But they haven't made any changes to what they're doing. So why is the message different?
Again, we took
That
steps,
ducky mask, the
on
duck
our
duck
own,
mask.
Right? We have
It's so
taken steps
great.
in coordination with other countries around the world, and our objective is to ensure that the supply out there meets the demand. We'll continue to have conversations if we have ongoing concerns. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just jumped around there. It was a confusing pen point. Go ahead.
Okay, well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes. So the president, he's making remarks on Thursday, as you said, and he has often denounced the January 6 events. But could you talk a little bit about why he refrains, to the extent that he does, it seems, from condemning ex-President Trump personally, not just for January 6th, but for his ongoing campaign, which is very persistent, almost daily, maybe at least weekly, to discredit Americans' faith in the election process. So in short, does President Biden think that his predecessor is...
I have to say, I don't think we've held back on this front. I mean, President Trump's role in subverting our Constitution, attempting to block the peaceful transfer of power, and defending a mob that attacked our Capitol and law enforcement has been well documented. And it's something, obviously, the president spoke about in terms of that being one of the worst days in our
Get hella
democracy.
laid with that
And he'll
mask,
speak
dude.
to, as I noted
Pussy
a little
Central.
bit earlier, he'll speak to the historical significance of January 6th, what it means for the country 1 year later, the importance of the peaceful transfer of power, which obviously the prior administration and the prior president weren't a part of. But I think there's a larger message here to the country about who we are and who we need to be moving forward.
Does he consider ex-President Trump to be a threat to democracy?
I think he's spoken to this in the past.
Okay. On the same issue, but a little more broadly, polls keep showing again and again that something like 70% of Trump voters think the election was rigged, that President Biden is not legitimate, and so on. Is there anything that President Biden feels he should have already done, or is anything he feels he still can do to actually talk directly to those people and try and get, people's reality to match a bit more in this country?
I think what he's going to continue to speak to everyone in the country, those who didn't vote for him, those who may not believe he is the legitimate president, about what he wants to do to make their lives better. And he sees that as his responsibility as the president of the United States. That's what he will continue.
The latency caused her to speak so quick just now.
So Senator Schumer just said that he and Senator Manchin talked numerous times during the break, mostly on voting rights, but also on Build Back Better. And he also says that the White House will be having more talks with Manchin's, quote, participation and cooperation.
Oh, thank you.
On
Yeah,
Build
I've
Back
had some
Better. So can I ask, did the
sneezes.
President and Senator Manchin talk at
Some
all over the break?
sneezes.
We obviously confirmed the conversation they had 2 weeks ago. I don't have any more conversations to confirm for you.
And you know what Schumer said about more talks in the future. Do you know the next time they'll talk about this?
I'm not going to predict that for you, but I can assure you that the president and members of our senior team will, of course, be in touch with a range of senators who care deeply about moving Build Back Better forward.
Can I clarify something on the
Sure.
testing delivery timeline?
Yeah.
Now, you said the first deliveries go out later this month, then the website goes up, then people can sign up. So probably those tests people can expect end of this month, early February?
Well, I think what I was trying to convey, perhaps not as articulately as I meant to,
Oh, word
is that
squid.
we will put the
Word.
website up when the tests are available to
Probably
be sent,
never do channel
right? As to
membership,
not
but-
cause any confusion.
For sure.
So I think the timeline I provided was that
For
for the
sure.
first delivery from manufacturers will start later this month, and obviously then we will work to get it out the door as quickly as possible.
Given that a lot of experts are saying if Omicron follows the surge it did in South Africa, it could be peaking here as early as next week and probably start declining by the end of the month. Is there some concern that these tests are being provided too late when the worst is already behind us?
Well, I would say first that there's unprecedented demand. We know that
Oh,
right now for
I like
tests.
that
There
there
was
with
in
the setup.
advance of the holidays for understandable reasons. People wanted to see loved ones. They wanted to ensure they tested before they saw loved ones. And we were not where we needed to be. We're still not. What we've done is try to do this as quickly as possible through an expedited, accelerated contracting process to ensure that tests are available for free to people across the country as quickly as possible. Now, at the same time, we know that online and in retail stores across the country, they are restocking shelves with tests. That is a good thing. We are continuing to open more federal testing sites, as we have done in New York and different cities that have been hardest hit across the country. And we continue to have 20,000 free sites across the country. So we're not working on one
Word.
channel. We are doing it as quickly as we can to get these 500 million tests in our hands, doing it through an accelerated, expedited process. But we've also taken a number of additional steps to ensure the federal testing sites, just to note, are in New Jersey, DC, New York City, and Philadelphia. Those are some of the places, just to give you a sense. And we'll continue to build on that, which we have the capacity to do.
Given the surge that we're seeing now, is it fair to say if those free tests had been made available earlier, before the holidays, before people traveled and more contact and gatherings occurred, would we not be seeing the same numbers we're seeing today? Wouldn't it have prevented some of that spread?
I don't know that we can make a prediction of that. It's a good question to ask the doctors. Look, I would say, though, and again, reiterate, as the president said before Christmas, we were not where we needed to be. What he did do is he quadrupled our testing capacity from the summer to December. He made million tests available at rural health centers and community health centers in December to expand
Oh yeah, I got
that
the shot. I'm
access.
feeling fine.
We
You
opened these
talking about
federal
me,
testing
Squid?
sites
I'm fine.
in December.
Yeah.
So
No, I
these
got the
were steps
vax, but
we
I'm feeling
took
good.
to,
I
as
have
quickly as
allergies.
possible, expedite our capacity.
allergies all the time.
Even in December, as the unprecedented demand was rising,
allergic to
and doing
Earth.
everything we could at an accelerated pace.
The
Of
planet's
course,
lame.
We would have liked to have more in our hands earlier.
It's Fook.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Just child tax credit question. We know those aren't going to hit families' accounts this month, right?
Yeah.
Even though there's relief down the line. But for families who were relying on it month to month, is there any talk of executive action or anything from the White House to provide more relief for that?
Anything going on with that?
We are always looking at how we can help provide relief to American families and the
Are
American
you?
people. If Build Back Better were to pass in February, there is an option of doing retroactive checks. But I would note that our objective is to get this passed. The president wants to see the child tax credit extended. Go ahead.
Follow up on testing then, if it's going to take that long.
I should say in January. Sorry, in January to do February, if that makes sense. Yeah, go ahead.
Along those same lines.
Okay.
For people who see those long testing lines, you
Yeah.
have more sites, but it's cold out. People don't want to wait in that. You swing by CVS, there are no tests. While waiting for all this expanded capacity, what is your advice to people who may be going back to college and want to take a test, or they want to go see their grandparents, or whatever it might be, if their workplace says, we want you to take a self-test before you walk in? What can people do in the meantime until that capacity does get built up?
Well, it depends on the person. So this is a hard question to answer, but I would say that there are still many doctor's offices that are administering tests. If somebody has health insurance, that's something that you can go do. Everyone does not have health insurance. There are community health centers, rural health centers. You can go look online and see if there is one near you and go to that. We have just opened a number of federal testing sites in New Jersey, DC, New York City, and Philadelphia. We will continue to expand those big federal testing sites, and we have 20,000 free sites across the country. Different communities and states are taking different steps. Some libraries are providing tests. Some community buildings are providing tests. It really depends community to community. If tests are required, there's a number of steps that people can take, and we're working to expand that as quickly as possible.
Lastly, you had mentioned rising cases. The president mentioned rising cases a little while ago. Every doctor has said that. We've also heard from Dr. Fauci and other doctors saying that's not the number to look at. We know they're going to go up, but maybe hospitalizations is
I think,
is a better case.
yeah, that's an important point.
What's the president's barometer? Is there one number that he kind of gauges to get an idea of where the country is right now?
Well, what I was trying to say in response to Ed's question, again, maybe not as articulately as I'd like,
Right,
is as
Erica?
Dr. Fauci said,
Right, Erica?
one of the areas that we are
Dumb
concerned
fucking
about
question.
and focused on
Thought that
is
shit too.
hospital capacity, and that how that is impacting medical professionals
like
and
you
the
don't
capacity
want
for
it.
hospitals to take people in. So we look at a range of metrics, but we certainly look at that as we see rising cases. It is fortunate in many areas that the vast majority, if not all, of the people who are going to hospitals are unvaccinated. Not in every community; it depends community to community. So that's why we are also continuing to echo and advocate for people to get vaccinated, to get boosted, to protect themselves. That's the most important step they can take. But certainly, as Dr. Fauci said, we are looking at and concerned about hospitalizations or capacity given hospitalizations. Go ahead in the back.
Back to
I agree with that sentiment, Terry.
How can employers be obligated to test unvaccinated workers when there's such a shortage right now? And what will OSHA do when it starts enforcing this rule in a few days when employers say, well, sorry, we can't comply because we can't find any tests?
Trauma, Ed Wood, and
I would first
Roger
say that
Corman.
Two-thirds
That's
of companies,
special,
almost
straight
two-thirds
up.
of companies, have taken steps to put in
Straight
place
up.
either vaccination requirements or testing requirements. They're all implementing it in a different way, and the leadership of these companies is making a decision about what works best for their workforce. Giving that option is something certainly we support. Obviously, getting vaccinated, they're free across the country, available across the country, is also a very easy option for many people, and many companies are opting to do that. As OSHA works to implement and work with companies to do that, our objective and what we're continuing to focus on is continuing to increase capacity of free tests that are targeted more, though, at individuals and households, less than companies. And obviously to work, there's now 9 tests that are approved to go to market that different companies and different school districts and others can have direct contact with. So there's a range of ways to get access
Albert
to tests, and we're
Pyron.
working to increase capacity to make them free and accessible
Pyron?
to
Pyron?
households and individuals across the country.
I don't think I've seen Doll
Saying it's
Man.
up to
I don't think I've seen that.
workers to find tests themselves
Special.
if they must be tested
think
to
so.
go to work rather than their employer.
Actually,
providing
I'm
them.
saying, and I think what I said pretty clearly, is that different companies, about 60%
All right,
of them, have
I wanna
already
wear my big
implemented-
comfy glasses
are
again.
implementing the
I miss
test
my big
or vaccine,
comfies already.
vaccine requirements in
Miss
different
them.
ways, company to company, employer to employer. So, and many of them have done it extremely successfully, including many of the airlines, a number of huge
missed you,
hospital
big
systems.
comfy
And
glasses.
this has helped make. Remember what the objective is here. The objective is to make
I missed you,
workplaces
big
safer,
comfy
to
glasses.
provide more.
Oh, wait,
security
with
to
this setup
people.
like this, I don't
If
get to
you
see
look
you
at
on
the,
cam.
data that just came out this morning, JOLTS. That was a shout out to Bloomberg. They'll get that reference.
straighten it out.
Data that came out
Yeah.
today. There are still many people who are fearful.
Well,
about
no,
going
it
back to work.
doesn't-
That is one of the
doesn't turn
reasons
that
why
way.
it's important to put in place these requirements, and why employers have taken
That's
the
what I
step
mean,
to
straighten it
provide
up
that
with the law.
certainty to people in their workplaces as well.
I
Oh.
want to ask one more question related
Yeah, I
to
would,
the
wouldn't I?
workforce. The White House Labor Task Force, led by Vice President Harris,
Worth
was
it.
supposed to release a report in October about
Represent
how the
the
federal government
admin.
can boost
Rev the
unionization
admin.
in this country in a variety of employers. It's January 4th, and that report has not come out yet. What's going on, and do the president and vice president still care about this initiative given everything else that's going on?
I would say the president has been an advocate for collective bargaining rights, for the rights of workers, for strong unions, for 5 decades of his career, and I think that speaks for itself. And the vice president, well, a little younger,
Debbie
not
says
in the
hello.
public office quite as long, but has also been a strong advocate for the rights of workers. And so I think that speaks for itself. Of course, this is an initiative they put forward. I'm certain I can check on the status of the report. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. A couple of topics, if you don't mind. As you know, the anniversary of the opening of Guantanamo Bay Detention Facility is next week.
Yeah.
The president promised to close it. You reiterated that
Guantanamo.
in February. What's taking so long?
Well,
It's
let me
Gitmo.
first say that
We got
the
a lot of
National Security
assets
Council
there.
continues to work closely with the Departments of Defense, State and Justice, and other departments and agencies to
Shit
do
popping
exactly
up
that.
again now.
I would note, and I know this was put out during a very crazy holiday period of time,
Lot
but
of shit
in the
popping up.
president's statement on the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2022, he outlined that Section 1032 of the Act continues to bar the use of funds to transfer Guantanamo Bay detainees to the custody or effective control of certain foreign countries, and Section 1033 of the Act bars the use of funds to
Get a good
transfer
knee pop.
Guantanamo Bay detainees into the United States unless certain conditions are met. And it's a longstanding position of the executive branch that those provisions
Oh,
unduly
right.
impair the ability of the executive branch to determine when and where to
trying to
prosecute
itch the
Guantanamo
carpet.
Bay
The
detainees.
rug
In some
fucks up where I wanna
circumstances,
be.
these provisions could make it difficult to comply
Half
with the
on a
final
rug, half
judgment
on
of a court
regular
that has directed the release of a detainee.
floor.
In addition to limitations in Section 1032 of the Act constrain the flexibility of the executive branch with respect to its engagement in delicate negotiations with foreign countries over the potential transfer of detainees. There are only 39 remaining individuals at Guantanamo Bay, but I just wanted to highlight that piece that was in the NDAA statement because we feel it's obviously creating burden and a hindrance to our progress here.
So it's the transfer to the foreign countries that's causing delays, essentially.
Well, I think I listed three clear pieces there, and limitations on how funding can be used, and how this Section 1032 also limits at times how an individual can be released, as well as
Section 332.
how we can
Section
negotiate
332.
and communicate with foreign countries
But
about it.
some of them have been waiting trials for years. Why is that taking so long?
Again, I would say this is what we see as one of the major, if not the major hindrance. Beyond that, I would point to the Department of Defense, but there are 39 remaining individuals there, and obviously our commitment continues to be to close Guantanamo Bay.
One other topic, the
Only 39 people
Iranian
at
president
Gitmo?
said yesterday as the talks begin.
Close
in
that bitch
Vienna,
down.
That former President Trump should be
I
put
know
on
you got
trial
black
for
sites you
killing
can send
of
people
General
to.
Soleimani. Wonder if I
Government.
get a reaction to that, and whether that hinders discussions
That's
around
sweaty.
Iran's nuclear future
over here
this
sweating.
week.
Well, I would say that I don't have any direct comment on his comments. I would note that he has his own politics and his own audience that he speaks to, just as many country leaders in other countries do. But right now, Special Envoy Malley is currently leading an interagency delegation to the 8th round of talks in Vienna, which resumed on January 3rd. There was modest progress in talks last week, and we hope to build on that this week. What is clear is
I've never watched The Hunger Games. Should I, as a 30-year-old asshole, watch Hunger Games and review it? I gotta.
It was
finish.
better than I expected it to be.
Okay, I gotta finish the Twilight series first. You know, still holding my high hopes for the Indigenous Girl, and go finish Twilight. But yeah, I'm thinking next maybe Hunger Games or something. Hunger Games, I don't know.
that if we do not soon reach an understanding on mutual return to compliance, Iran's accelerating nuclear steps will hollow out the JCPOA. So our priority remains reaching and implementing a rapid mutual return, and I expect those negotiations will focus on those topics at hand, not comments of any leaders around the world. Go ahead.
Yes.
A couple different
As an
topics here
asshole,
as
yes.
well. First,
Gotcha,
from the
special.
administration's point of view,
Word.
given what we've learned from the January 6th Select Committee, does it appear the Capitol riot played some kind of role in an overall coordinated effort to overturn the democratic process? So something longer, perhaps, and more than just one day?
Just so I understand your question, are you saying, talk a little bit more. Tell me a little bit more what you're trying to ask.
Yeah, sure. So there's the isolated events of that day, but there's
Yeah.
also the investigation that goes back much further and spans more time. Does it appear that there's that sort of longer throw there than just what occurred on January 6th?
Special.
at
That
the
sounds like a
Capitol,
crazy
based
movie.
on what we know from the Select Committee.
Well, I'm not going to speak for the Select Committee, and obviously they will speak for when
Sounds
the
like a
conclusion
crazy
of their
movie
report
special.
will be and what details. I would note that we have conveyed our concern in the past about the fact that many Republican members of Congress have stood by the big lie since then. They were outraged
I love Terry Hatcher.
at the time.
I love
about
Terry Hatcher.
Many of them about the events that happened on January 6th.
I love Terry
Who
Hatcher.
could not be? Who was watching them? And since then, they have done nothing to help support the work of the committee, to help argue against the big lie, and you know that sort of lack of action, inaction, silence, you know, is something that is irresponsible as well. Go ahead.
Go
ahead.
Sorry, another from Todd Gilman, a fellow CC
Sure.
rotation at the Dallas Morning News. Does the White House have a reaction to Senator
have a good
Cruz
one,
saying
Monica.
President Biden may be impeached if the Republicans take back the House next
Oh,
year?
that Captain
specifically for
America.
border
Gotcha.
policies?
Well,
Yeah.
our reaction is maybe Senator Cruz can work with us on.
Didn't Terry have a? But didn't he start Island of Dr. Moreau with Brando, but didn't finish it? Another same dude, same dude, same Terry.
Getting something done on comprehensive immigration reform and putting in place measures that will help make sure smart security is what we see at the border, taking a more humane approach to the border instead of name calling, accusation calling, and making predictions of the future. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. I have questions about voting rights and also about political appointments. On voting rights, the midterm elections are 10 months away. Is the president concerned that the window is closing to pass legislation that could have an impact on how people vote in the midterm elections?
I'm not going to make a prediction of that. What I will say and what the president will talk about in his speech on Thursday is also that, you know, people came out, the American public came out in record numbers last November and participated in our democracy. And we shouldn't underestimate the role of the movement and grassroots movement of the public to have their voices heard. But he absolutely feels that getting voting rights done is fundamental, it's essential. He is going to work in close lockstep with Leader Schumer and others in Congress to get this done. But I'm not going to make a prediction at this point on the timeline. It's obviously a first priority for them in the Senate.
Is it a first priority for the president?
Yes, he's working with Leader Schumer on it.
In December, he said at South Carolina State University, we're
She
going
does
to
get
keep up the fight
sassy.
until we get it done.
She's no what's his
What
name.
does
She's
that
no
look like?
Spicer.
What does the fight look like
Miss
for voting rights
Spicer.
for President Biden?
I really do miss Spicer. All right. What's NBC gabbing
I want to
about?
bring in Megan Fitzgerald, who's in Chicago. All right, Megan. This is, again, a microcosm of what's happening across the country. You've got the White House, the
Microcosms.
president from here in Washington saying,
Little baby
schools, do what you
cosms.
can to stay open. But you've got a real debate, a real showdown over this in Chicago.
Yeah, that's right. These teachers are concerned, many of them. The teachers union says, look, the biggest issue for them is safety. And what they're pointing to is what happened just a couple of days ago. Over the Christmas break, 150,000 test kits were distributed for purposes of people being able to test. So students and staff, teachers being able to test before coming back to school yesterday. And what happened was the school district extended the deadline to when you could return those tests. Consequently, that lag time meant that thousands of these tests were deemed invalid. So there really was no way of knowing if people returning back to school were positive or not. And so it's come down to an issue for many teachers over safety. As we know, Omicron is surging across the country, and certainly here in Chicago, teachers are concerned, which is why tonight they're going to be voting to decide whether or not they go to remote learning, which then, as you mentioned, means that classes are canceled tomorrow as they...
Nothing new here, man. We got remote learning happening, but you know what time it is, gang? We gotta check on our boy Alex Jones, man. We gotta go to Infowars.com, dude. We got to check on Uncle Alex. How is he doing? Where's he been? How you doing? Where you at? Oh, you got plans? No, don't say that. I'm sipping wine. In a robe. I look too good to be alone. Yeah. I'm into that Silk Sonic shit. I love it. 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 Put the daily news like that. Boom. All right. Maybe that's more manageable. Maybe I do like the screen at the bottom with this setup. What do we got?
6 or 7 big projects left that are all 8.5, 9 months pregnant, and are about to break our water on all this together.
The projects are
and really
pregnant?
give birth to some big things in our collective will that we've done. And I mean, make no mistake, I use the analogy of the birth.
His wife sure
That's
is.
what this is. I mean, all of us are the mothers and fathers of this fight. And the energy you put in and what you contribute with your time, your energy, your prayer, your financial support is building the resistance. And I can tell you, and all glory goes to God. I'm so humbled by this. It's actually staggering. It's actually a great weight. It's the opposite of what I would call something that's fun. The Bible talks about with wisdom comes great sorrow, or the beginning of wisdom brings great sorrow. And but it's also very bittersweet. It's also very fulfilling. I mean, when I did bad things when I was younger, like somebody started a fight with me, so I broke their nose and then went ahead and broke their jaw.
I'm not bragging, but when I used to whoop asses,
stomp their face once they were down.
When I used to
feel
fuck
really
them up,
empty later, like I'd done something wrong because God was saying that's not good what you
when
did.
I used to eat liberal
Or when I came
ass,
for an abortion, I would feel totally empty and
Blah, blah,
a
blah.
horrible person. And I finally repented and fully woke up and got saved, for the second time more intensely. And the reason I talk about this is that when I would do things like that, I would feel completely empty. Like when I got my driver's license, particularly, I was just out of control with women. I mean, I would just hit on women in grocery stores, like adult women. I would just walk up to people in church and women and just pick them up. It was out of control. People were like, oh, that really sounds studly. It got emptier and emptier and emptier and emptier and emptier. And the more confidence I got, the more the women just like that. But it was killing me. And it's the same thing with all this. I have incredible weight on me.
Yeah.
And I'm tortured many ways, but I don't feel empty at all. You see, that's the difference with the Holy Spirit and God. God will put pressure on you, give you jobs to do, but I have so much life and so much discernment and so much that it's the opposite of that empty, hollow feeling you have when you're evil or when you're doing things against God's plan. It's the opposite. I'm not empty. I'm so full that I'm bursting at the seams. And that's why I apologize sometimes when I'm obnoxious. It's because it's too much. Yeah, there's the quote they found.
Yeah.
For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increases knowledge increases sorrow.
What?
That is so damn powerful. Ecclesiastes 1:18. But it's true.
I guess.
Absolutely true. And
Jones.
I know with you, the audience, you have a lot of great sorrow. I know you're
Jones,
just like me.
boy.
That's why you tune in, because you're just like me.
That Alex
I meet you all over the
Jones,
country. You're so
man.
beautiful and wonderful. And I see our listeners.
Love you,
and
Uncle
they
Alex.
Can
I
be
do.
Hispanic or Asian or white or
Love
black.
you.
Doesn't matter. They've all.
I missed when he
got
talked
this
about
light
turning
in
the
their
frog
eyes, and they're
gay.
so
I do
alive.
too.
And it's not
I also
even their
miss
features.
Chemtrail Alex Jones.
It's not like their classic movie star features or whatever. It's like it could be a black man, it could be a white woman, it could be a black lady, it could be a Hispanic lady, it could be it doesn't matter. Like you meet people that are awake, and I'll be sitting there shaking their hands, talking to them, and I'm just like talking to them, and I can see how alive they are. And then I think about members of my own family who used to have that light in their eyes, but because I worked too much or I wasn't home enough or whatever, that's what I have guilt over. They don't have that light in their eyes anymore. And I realize what matters to me more than my name or more than my health or anything, even I love my children more than anything, but
Vitamin Church.
what matters is the light in their eyes. Because if the system comes
The
after
Vitamin
them and the
Church of
system
First
destroys them,
Salvations.
as long as when they go, they have their light in their eyes, that means they've got a connection to Christ.
No, First
They got
Vitamin
that
Church of
spark, that fire.
Salvation.
It's that fire means everything. It's the fire in
I go to First Vitamin.
the eyes. It's the sparkle. It's the sparkle in the eyes that is everything. And they want to take that magic from
Don't eat
us,
the frog
that
meat.
connection to the divine, because the eyes grow out of
Or
the
whatever.
brain when you're an embryo, and they're literally stalks of your brain that grow out. Beautiful appendages of your brain, which itself is just a receiver, transmitter, a transceiver to the universe. And they're so beautiful. And you just see those eyes of innocent children counting on us to be strong, counting on us to stand up against evil, counting on us. And then I think about the police and military. You know, at a base level as a man, you want to go ahead and get in a war because you think
Ordained
you're in the
bone
right.
broth.
Let's just get it going.
Sorry.
We're going to show them.
Sorry, Special's got
If
me
you
on
pull
one
back
now.
and realize that they attacked our police and military, who aren't perfect, but are some of the best in the world.
Kosher and
when it comes to their
ordained
morals.
bone broth. This bone
Check
broth,
it out. Look
broth
into
could
it.
marry you.
Travel around the world and find out for
You'll want to
yourself.
marry it. I'm already
And
selling
they
the
have
bone
attacked
broth.
them with Black Lives Matter and George Soros and put DAs controlled by Soros in almost all the cities and towns to then persecute them and intimidate them so they quit and leave. And then when they quit and leave, they put their people in. And so it's so simple. I don't just not want to have a civil war because I don't want to get killed or put in prison. It's because the globalists are losing politically. They're losing spiritually. They want to overturn the chessboard and do this.
Joe
And they wanna
Biden
wreck
is
the country
losing
and bring it into disarray to plunge the stock
spiritually.
market and buy it up for pennies on
He
the
ain't
dollar.
got the crystals.
That's the next big
You ain't
scam
got the
they've done in
knowledge, Joe
countless
Biden.
Other countries, and they
You ain't
admit
doing the
they're engaged in,
education.
that I've been warning since 2001 when we
Ghostface
got their
even knows
documents
it.
that they were
Ghostface mad at you,
setting up.
Biden.
They said then, we've already taken
When
the third world
Ghostface
over.
is mad at
Next,
you,
we're going to use the same tactics on the first world, and
fucked
that's
up.
an international monetary fund document.
Yeah,
run
he's
by
looking
the
like a
CIA
frog.
And Henry
Yeah.
Kissinger.
Alex Jones looks like B-roll from a canceled Wind in the Willows. Like a Ralph Bakshi Wind in the Willows. He's like, poop.
So think about that. They want us to line up
It's
like
that frog.
idiots
That toad.
and shoot and kill each other and blow up some stuff, claim there's terrorists, give the cops fake orders, the military fake orders to go retake a governorship or whatever that's not going along with the New World Order, whatever they're planning in the future.
George
and then to
Soros'
kick the whole
quiet
thing off and
overhaul
have
of
us
the
all
U.S.
like a bunch of
justice
idiots
system.
Go kill each other.
Yeah, fucking, I'm telling you, they own them judges. Oh yeah, I'm voting Joe Exotic. For sure. For sure. If Joe Exotic gets out and runs, can he run? I'm voting for Joe Exotic. Can Joe Exotic run for president?
I don't think so. Not unless he gets his record expunged.
Yeah. If he gets that shit explained, he gets like a... I don't know. Anyway, how about we vote for... What was his last boyfriend? Dylan? Dylan. Let's vote for Dylan Passage. Let's vote for his boyfriend that ran off with the money and fame. was just out there skiing. You know what I mean? Out there skiing while Joe's in jail. Also skiing.
Know this. We're not starting a war. We don't want a civil war, and we don't want to kill the military and police. They're purging them. They're attacking them. We need to embrace the military and police.
That's true.
And lift them up and educate them now and let them know we're going to support
Kazakhstan
them
is
and
protesting.
stop this now while there's still time.
What are my Kazakhs
Christmas
protesting?
2021 is gone. It's in the
Vitamins.
rearview mirror.
Get
but
'em.
you can still
Pussy.
take advantage.
You gotta eat your vitamins. I love him so fucking much. There's one person I wish I could conjure and just talk to for a little bit. It's Alex Jones. Because again, I think we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. He's been right about an incredible amount of things. There's a reason I check him out like daily. Also for my spirits, he's a funny dude. He's a funny dude. He gets ranting about them globalists, man. It just makes my day sometimes. You know, I know there's a lot of people who follow Alex Jones, kind of like a evangelical preacher, you know, but they defunded the police? What are you talking about, Jameson? They did? Who's George Soros's people? I know he's Jewish, but helped round up some Jews in the Holocaust, and as a Jewish person, not cool, man. Not cool. I don't know what it was like for him, though. Yeah. Outside of, like, the royal family and Discord, I might throw any in front of fucking Snake. Never again for a reason.
If I didn't get away from it faster, I feel like you'd throw me in front of one. So
Yeah.
that's fair. I'd throw you in front of one. So.
Exactly. This is Shield Brother shit. This is like, you know, you gotta know humans. But I've actually, you know, I've talked about it on the stream before. Like, I've thrown a chair in between. Like, I've blocked my baby mama's path from moving forward because I thought there was a snake. Like, nope, you get to deal with the snake. Like, and I didn't even mean to. Like, I blinked and I had done that. So my fight or flight kicks in and I'll fight, dude. I'll leave. You know? Suspect Soros is a Yakiist. That would make sense. That would make sense special. This is fucking... This is crazy.
Wake up.
Mr. President, you gotta wake up now. It's time to do the thing that we did before.
You should have to pay nearly $6,400 more than you would today.
Alright, you better not hit me with some copywritten music and shit, dude. Jones goes out there, man. He was on terrestrial radio. I've said it before. So sometimes I mute InfoWars because he'll hit you with that AC/DC or something that we can't do here on YouTube. We're merely public access, so we're brought to you by Murkies like you. So I guess I could plug my shit. Check out the merch store. Everything in there is designed by Murkies. Lovingly crafted. And yeah, order some merch if you'd like. Check out my music. Start making music at this very setup. And don't buy Survival Shield. I don't know what the fuck it is. Actually, I kind of want to hear what this is, Jones. It's got iodine in it. Nobody want that. Nobody want that iodine, dude. Actually, I do need iodine for certain things. I got weird medical conditions.
I can't ignore the things that I see. That it's just, it's fire. It's fire. So thank you, Miss Lee. Thank you, InfoWars, and all the
Well,
staff
special,
for
and then you
everything
got
do.
the Ayn Rand people. You got a bunch of different weird ideologies. Ayn Rand people teamed up with the communists and the fascists.
Benefiting from this. Stock up on what you need right now. We don't know how
Fucking
other
weird out
ways that
there.
they're going to try and attack us with
The globe,
things. So
the
we might be
global
trying to
agenda. I am tired of this commercial. I don't know if any. I wonder if I'll have to cut out that bit of music. Yeah, it's taking over. Yeah. National Bolshevism. Is he hitting us with the? You hitting us with the? What you got, Jones? You're like copyright strikes. Copyright strikes. I bet. I don't know what the fuck that was. Something. Something. Yeah, I don't know that. That song sounds copywritten. Copyright strikes. Oof. Oh yeah. She's over there grinding. Alright.
Too. Oh, really? Well, the Muslims came around 400 years after Christianity?
Are you just jamming Depeche Mode in the background? Did you can't catch a strike, boy?
There's only one God. And then the fake God you serve, Satanist.
And I want to clip this so bad. I can't keep. Oh, he does that. He does that. He saves the craziest shit sometimes for being over some copyrighted music.
More soccer players, more newscasters, young people taking it and having heart attacks and dying or barely alive with 5 heart attacks.
I think he does it so people
Out of
can't
Brazil.
clip him and use it in their videos.
That's exactly what it is. He saves his juiciest shit sometimes
shoot a
for
report on it
Depeche Mode in the
live.
background, you know?
I'm going to talk about it in the last
He won the
segment of this
meme war
hour,
that way.
and then we'll get it up on Infowars.com.
Flexing that
with
terrestrial
details.
radio cred.
So that's
Actual
coming up.
DJ.
We have the gentleman, the first person to win the $5,000 to jump on Miami television and talk about how it's a poison death shot, Infowars.com. People say, Jones,
He is making a move to be more like Bill
money
Cooper.
and you're
Yeah,
gonna go
I agree with that
bankrupt,
special.
but then you're going to
He's
give
also
$5,000 to people to jump
ingratiating
on TV
himself
and say the shot's
with
killing
the
people.
modern,
Yeah, I need money to do
the wrong
that.
modern movements
I
all
need
the
money to
time.
do our job.
Much like Joe
I'm
Rogan,
strategic.
you know.
We paid out $300 and something thousand.
One thing I've learned
for
about
people to
like,
jump
kind
up
of the
and say
boomer
Bill Clinton's a
demographic
rapist.
is,
If they agree with that, and they did.
I don't
on
know.
national TV.
I
And
think sometimes
the
intentions are
president was
good,
beating
but the
Clintons.
group
They
is,
certainly think that beat
they
him.
fall for rhetoric fairly
It was
easy.
on national TV, you name it, hundreds of times. I mean, it devastated them. It devastated
Change
them.
my mind. I don't.
So, yeah, it makes it more fun for everybody. And then once one person starts doing it, it gets everybody doing it. And what did the Fox News host, Mr. Waters, say weeks after we launched this contest? He gets it. He said, we need people to confront Fauci with him running the Wuhan lab and creating the virus. That's the kill
Word.
shot. The media won't do it. And then now they
WWCR.
want Waters fired. Because they're
Oh,
afraid
gotcha.
of you
Yeah,
taking
I
action.
believe that
They
special.
wanna
I bet that's
punish
exactly
that
how
idea.
that.
We don't
Yeah.
want to have a war. We don't want to bomb things or shoot people or attack federal buildings. That's Antifa and George Soros' people. We want to go out and have rallies and demonstrations. And when somebody's live in the park or live in the TV or live wherever, somebody's live up on a stage out at the park, you know, Keith Olbermann, I did that years ago, took over his show, bringing up key issues about the New World Order. That's what we
Wild,
do.
Chrissy.
That's how we do it. That's how we get it done.
Is it happening right now,
And I'm
Chrissy?
trying to get a chain reaction going
Like for showsies?
to get everybody else to go out and every time they see a news camera get in their face. Because they're not going to be inspired just by this show reaching a couple million people right now. But they'll be inspired by everybody else doing it. Like the first guy that got on Tucker Carlson when he was just a weekend host and said Bill Clinton's a rapist. That was one of our listeners.
This
He had
guy.
the idea to do it, and I said,
This
wait a minute.
guy.
We ought to give people $5,000 every time they did it. And it happened a whole bunch. And then I said the contest is
whoa.
over. And then hundreds of more people did it for fun. And it defeated the globalists. It's beautiful.
He saved jazz. He defeated the globalists. Well, let's check it out, Christy. Let's see if I can find anything live on some protests in Kazakhstan. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's go to news. On our Explore page. Got anything about them Kazakhstani riot? Chicago's Teachers Union, Jan 6. I don't have anything in the trending news. Just type in Kazakhstan. I see no live footage of riots in Kazakhstan. Christy. You should throw some links. Through some links. Oh yeah, I think I actually covered that serial killer getting caught, Christy. I think I actually covered that. Hold on, sorry, I suggested about that. Urgent search for missing 7-year-old girl. Oh no.
This morning, the urgent search
Bolo,
to find
gang,
a missing
Bolo.
7-year-old, last seen in New Hampshire 2 years ago.
Quite frankly, enough is enough. This is a 7-year-old girl. Let's find her. All right? Let's come together as a community and do the right thing.
Officials say Harmony Montgomery went missing in 2019, but it wasn't until last week when authorities learned about her disappearance. 2 years passing by, apparently with no one flagging law enforcement.
It's a question I've asked, all right, that hopefully at some point along this I get an answer to.
Manchester police confirming Harmony was in the child welfare system in both Massachusetts and New Hampshire before she was reported missing. It was New Hampshire's Division of Children, Youth and Families that finally notified
Links
police
or it
about her
didn't
disappearance.
happen.
Investigators have spent hours searching
Links,
this home,
links.
the last place Harmony was seen, even
Links
though the
or
house
screen
now
shares.
has new owners.
Screen
Authorities say
shares
they've
or links.
also interviewed several members of the 7-year-old's family, but won't say which one.
We're 2 years behind the power
Filmed
curve,
enough of myself going down Google rabbit holes.
in where Harmony should have been, all right, and who she should have been with. She's not with them.
Police are now dedicating a tip line, asking the public for help with a reward of more than $12,000 being offered for information on her whereabouts.
People need to do the right thing. I don't think I'm asking a lot.
Police say they're staffing that tip line around the clock, and they've received about 24 tips so far.
Hi everyone. It's George Stephanopoulos here, reminding you all to check out Blip Blop Blip 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 Blop Blip Blop News. Alright, Kazakhstan, I'm gonna type in riot. Fuel protests. Some Kazakhs. Radio Free Europe.
Неге алып кетіп жатсыздар ол кісілерді?
I want every one of these hats. I want the fuzzy black hat. I want the hats. I want the hat. Did I find it? I think I found it. Thank you for the links. Oh, snap. They're suited up, all black. All black. Yeah, a ton of videos from the last 2 hours. I found them now. I think.
Өз мінімізді, өз пікірімізді айтпасақ болмайды. Ұрпақ үшін, ел үшін тұру керек.
Oh, snap.
Зачем человека выворачивать?
Мен журналистпін, мен көрсеттім.
Видите как? Видите? Конституция красивая.
Мен журналист жұмысыма кедергі жасаватсыздар ғой. Мен журналист жұмысыма кедергі жасаватсыздар жігіттер. Сигірейін деп отырмын. Сіздерді көрініп тұр. Жаңа заңды қолдаймыз! Жаңа заңды қолдаймыз!
Crazy.
Жаңа заңды қолдаймыз! Қымбатшылық тоқтатылсын!
Әрең жетіп, әрең келіп отырмыз. Бірақ осы жерге мен ойлаймын, бір адам болса да, тек қана Дариға Назарбаеваға үйленген үшін бүкіл Қазақстанның газын меншіктеп алып отыр.
Заңсыз әрекеттер үшін әкімшілік және қылмыстық жауапкершілік көзделген. Газ елу! Газ елу! Газ елу! Газ елу! Бұл жерде осы проблема қозғап отқан жігіттерді бәріміз қолдаймыз. Қолдаймыз! Сол үшін бірігіп, бір тудың астына жиналатын кез келді. Алға қазақ!
Oh, that's overhead view? Let's check out the overhead view.
Oh my.
What you, oh my god? What? More problems?
No.
More money, more
It's not a
problems?
problem. That's the good thing.
Oh. You sure it's not more money, more problems?
Oh, I almost had.
What? Oh.
It's fine.
Oh, open the fucking link. Why is it doing that? I don't want that. Yeah, open the link. Oh. Shit.
There's a number of videos of protesters attacking armored personnel carriers, riding on top of them.
Oh, wait, who's this dude? Wait, that's a YouTuber. Hold up. Let me see about this one, maybe. That's scurry.
What's up?
What up, John B? How are you doing today? How you feeling?
Captain COVID checking in.
Right on.
I got a sore throat, man, and I got a fucking headache that won't go away. But listen, I just wanted to check in to ask you guys a question, and then I'll be on my way.
Yeah.
Have you heard this press conference about out in my neck of the woods in Virginia? They seem to have a serial killer on the loose.
We played it from yeah, it's from a few weeks ago, it looked like. It was or from a week or so ago. It's from like December 17th. Yeah, we played it, yes. Christy sent that in, yeah. I think they've caught it.
They're calling him the shopping cart killer, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I said don't blame Bubbles. It ain't Bubbles. From Trailer Park Boys. But what so they did catch him or they haven't caught him yet?
Yeah, they got him, but see, I was just interested because I told you guys I used to make shopping carts in Richmond, but and there isn't but a couple of places in the country that actually do that. You know, two different parts of the country they make these and they send them all over the place. You can still find the ones that I've made actually by looking under the flap that you set the kid on, you know, in the little seat. But anyway, that's here or there. The point is, they caught this guy, but they say that for somehow he uses a shopping cart in every one of his murders.
Yeah, there was a shopping cart found next to everything. Like that was one thing that they brought up.
Yeah, it's just such a weird. It just seems like such a weird thing, you know. It's almost like listening to a Gotham City report. You know, there's some new killer on the. We're calling him the Shopper.
He leaves ketchup bottles at all his crimes because he's the condiment king. he's a gritty reboot of the condiment king. he's a
No doubt. No doubt.
Word.
So listen, I keep passing out and waking up and passing out and waking up. I think fatigue is the worst thing I've been going through with this. Thank God. I've never lost my taste buds, and I've still been able to eat. But it's the sore throat and the fatigue that's killing me. So I'm just wondering, what have I missed today?
Oh, not much. I ran a little bit late. I was on the toilet most of the morning. Too much information, but I moved over to the editing bay for right now, so I can kind of do music streams and stuff.
Nice.
And yeah.
Okay.
Just hanging out, man. Checking up on the news. We have a guilty verdict on Elizabeth Holmes.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
4 out of 11.
I don't know, man. Something about her I find hot, man. It's her voice.
That's a fake voice.
Well, that's what I was going to say, which is funny because I was watching something about her and they said she's so well rehearsed that even the way she speaks in interviews, it betrays the way she usually sounds. She makes herself sound a little butcher. You know, she deepens her voice, but I like that fake voice, man.
I like a husky voice too, but yeah, no, she's straight up. That's a fake husky voice. Yeah, she puts that on to seem. She's read some like Donald Trump books on how to work a room kind of shit, you know? She's huckster.
Well, what kind of time is she looking at?
I forget because she's got the 4 out of 11 counts, so I think it was a maximum of like 8 years, something like that, potential. But I don't think she'll actually get that.
Nah, she probably won't get any time. She'll get probation and shit. Well, anyway, okay, man. Well, listen, I'm gonna check back out, man. I think I'm gonna lay down again. All right,
Hey,
you guys have a great night.
brother.
Okay.
Absolutely, John.
All right, take it easy, brother.
Take it easy.
Love you
Get some
guys.
rest, dude. Yeah. Oh man, sick as a dick. Everybody that's got COVID right now that's a murky. I'm sorry, and I love you. That vaccine, it's there, and it's free in America right now. He moved the bodies in a shopping cart. It's crazy. Yeah, this is some crazy chaos energy. I like that. Let's see if we can't find, now that I kind of know shopping cart killer, let's see if we can't find anything like recent or an expose on a dude. Let's see what we can find here. Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure we covered that.
He preys on the weak, he preys on the vulnerable, and he does unspeakable things with his victim.
Fairfax County Police arresting a man they call the shopping cart killer, 35-year-old Anthony Robinson, accused of murdering at least 4 women.
Back in November, police in Harrisonburg found 2 bodies in a vacant lot. Robinson was later arrested for that, and police in the district started investigating him in connection to the death of Cheyenne Brown. She went missing on September 30th. Fairfax County Police believe they found her body near a shopping cart in Alexandria in the very same container where Brown's remains were found. Police say another person's remains were there. That person has not yet been identified.
Investigators believe Robinson met his victims on dating sites, took them to motels, then used a shopping cart to dispose of their remains in various locations. They think there may be more victims out there. Police say Robinson is transient. He had addresses in New York, Prince George's County, and D.C. He also had many jobs and no criminal history. Now authorities are trying to figure out where else he's been. Anyone who knew him is asked to call police.
And there are a lot of questions about this case.
Our Josh Rosenthal speaking to a professor who studies serial killers about this investigation and how it all unfolded. He is live tonight in Fairfax County Police headquarters with more. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Marina, Jim, this is incredibly unusual, and for that reason, we reached out to this expert, somebody who actually studies serial killers, to get her perspective, her reaction to what we know so far.
These cases are exceedingly rare, and it's our job to try to prevent them from happening. So anything that we can learn from this case will hopefully prevent future victims from being prey to serial killers.
That's Elizabeth Gurian. She's a professor of criminology.
Remember,
and
we're done
criminal
lost their
justice, and
minds.
She just published a book on serial and mass murder. Today, she told me that it does not surprise her that the accused has very little criminal history. She said in her data set, most serial killers do not. Also, we heard police say today that they are worried about murders that may have been committed by Anthony Robinson prior to these last few months. Well, Gurian says typically male serial killers who act alone are caught within a year of their crimes. And she said it's a similar story with partnered serial killers because the dynamic between multiple offenders is so unstable. Last thing, here's something the Fairfax County Police Chief said today, followed by Gurian's very positive response.
We believe that there may be other victims in the area and throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we need to act now.
We have what's known in criminology as linkage blindness, where, if you're a serial killer in Europe, for example, and, a bunch of victims are killed in Belgium and a bunch of victims are killed in France, those police departments may not communicate and make that link that there's a serial killer. So police are doing absolutely everything right to see if there have been some missing victims in nearby jurisdictions.
So bottom line,
Word.
very little of what was said today surprised this expert. And just like the rest of us, she's going to be following the rest of this case very closely. Guys.
Hell yeah. What is that? That vague sound of a riot.
I don't know, it's coming from you. The bubble one.
That's weird. Really?
Uh-huh.
Because it's not showing up.
It's showing up on Discord.
Here we go. Check this out. Maybe this will help. Did that shit stop? Should have.
I think so.
Should have. Hopefully.
Yeah, it did.
What the fuck is playing now? So weird. I bounced out of the room. Can you still hear that shit?
No, I think you're muted.
Weird. Huh. Here we go. Weird as shit. Puerto Rico news.
That indicator of community spread has soared to 34%. And ABC News' Christine Corujo is joining us now from Puerto Rico. Christina, what does it feel like there? How are people explaining, how they got clobbered again by COVID?
Well, Terry, epidemiologists here are calling this a perfect storm. This all comes as the holiday festivities were just starting, taking in consideration that in Puerto Rico, the holidays usually start early in November and last until late January. So people were eager to get.
How about we just jam some smooth jazz and hang out, guys? I'm feeling like taking a quiz. What do you guys think about that? Quiz time? Anything you guys want to know about me in particular? Anything you want to find out? We found out which Golden Girl I am. We found out on a scale of anger and like resentment, I'm like a 45 out of 100, which is, I have no clue. Quizzes. Should we see if we can find out which Marvel superhero I am or something cheesy like that, maybe? I could just type in weird quiz. This quiz is only for weird people. Time to get weird. How often do you meow like a cat for no clear reason? Like daily, actually. Weird to ask that. Do you have food preferences that upset other people? Not really. I don't think so. Other people's food preferences upset me all the fucking time. Someone put not really. Has anyone ever made fun of your shoes? Oh yes, and it hurt my feelings. Happened when I was a kid. How often do you talk to inanimate objects? Yeah, randomly. Like, oh, fuck, randomly? Do you feel as if no one else likes what you like? Sometimes. Pick something to fill a bathtub with. The options are clam chowder, spaghetti, plastic balls, kittens. Ooh, allergic to cats. So, also don't really feel like getting covered in food. I'm gonna put plastic balls in there because then you can have your kids hop in there, have a fun kids time. Pick an object to kiss. A book, a fork, apple, or a water bottle. An object to kiss. Smooch on an apple, maybe? I don't know. None of these really invoke romance. I feel like we kind of kiss forks naturally. Like, that's just like the nature of forks. Something like that. I'm 80% weird. I'm 80% weird. So the majority of me is weird. I'm funky. Now you guys know. Crushed it. Crushed it. 80%'s a passing grade. So I got this house, dude. Stoner quiz. Let's see what stoner quiz. Stoner quiz. All stoners have done at least 31 of these things. 18 BuzzFeed quizzes for people who love weed. What kind of high are you quiz? Okay. Let's start this. See how this goes. You're going to chill with a few of your friends. What do? Bring my weed, my pipe, and have a good time. Smoke a bunch of weed and have random funny conversations with people. Take a nug and leave the rest at home. I'll find someone who will pitch theirs. Get really baked and then just listen to other people's conversations. Smoke a bunch of weed. Have random funny conversations. I do that with you guys like all the time. You're finishing off a huge blunt, and your friend drops the burning roach in their shoe. You laugh at the situation. Don't even notice that it happens because you were busy watching a bird fly by. They know me. I was watching the bird. I'm not even going to read the other questions. I'm going to act real sympathetic. Be like, oh shit, that happened to you? I was looking at a bird. Someone loses a gram in their couch. A whole G, dude. You quickly throw off all your cushions, desperately trying to look for it. Yeah. Say, hey, maybe we'll find change for munchies and joke about it. I would joke. Pull out a big bag of weed and roll up a joint and then help him look for it later. Oh, if I have a big bag of weed, I'm rolling them. Roll one up and then we'll look for it, dude, because we came here to do something. When you're the only one of your friends who has dope, we don't call it that where I'm from. What will you do? Pack a bowl, pass it around, everyone will get a tote. You roll a pinner and smoke it with certain people. I got enough to go around. I don't really got enough to go around. Nah, we make it happen. Special guests bring some. It always happens. Bring CBD, but it happened. Oh, my voice is still muted on Discord? That tracks. Hold on. I got this. I don't got this. Huh? Well, should be better now. Hopefully. Hopefully. You have to go to Walmart and you just finished hotboxing your car. You make someone else go in for you. You go in and forget what you came in to buy. That's just every time. You get a comment from the cashier about your perfume and you laugh it off. You look at the kids' toys and make them all go off at once and then laugh so hard your sides burst. I forgot what I came in for. Your favorite stoner foods are, oh, this is easy. Anything as long as it's edible, quick and easy junk foods. Quick and easy junk foods. Not even gonna read the rest of them. You run out of papers to roll, now what? You run to the store and buy some, you get your buddy to go get them for you. You go to the store twice because the first time you forgot what you needed. You put it in the hookah. I don't have a hookah, but I'm gonna put it in the hookah because you guys see what I smoke. Do you smoke too much? Yeah, probably. I mean, as much as I like. I don't like dab or nothing like that. Can you quit smoking? Never. No, probably not. Bad at it. You and your group have gathered for a weed party. One of your friends has brought liquor. Would you drink it too while smoking weed? No. No. I don't really. Yeah. I don't drink. Be my results. I am the guru. I got the guru. You're pretty much the leader of stoners. You always have weed, and you're baked no matter what you're doing. People usually rely on you to find them grass, and frequently invite you to sesh with them. Weed is your lifestyle, and you pretty much forget it's illegal. It's not where I'm at, it's legal where I'm at. Recreationally and medically, so... shout out this state. So boom, there you go. I'm the stoner, or I'm the guru. I'm the stoner. It's a stoner quiz, and I'm the guru. So Merc Guru, Guru Merc. I try to not attach myself to religious titles like that. I like it. Makes me uncomfy. I'm not your cult leader. I'll joke about it, but I'm not. I'm not. Claustrophobic. I think it's a great idea, and a bunch of people show up, and I'm, you know, grouchy bitch. You know. Man. Let's pop back over to this, let's just peek at trending. Anything entertainment going on? Anything new going on? Any, you know... Frontline workers in Maine are tapped out. I-95 is still shut down, boy. People's gonna sleep in their cars again? What's happening there? Gotta save the people. Apex Legends, man. People play the shit out of that. I guess they're what are they announcing? Stories from the Outlands. Oh yeah, there's an expansion coming. Lyft driver shoots 2 suspects in carjacked vehicles in Philadelphia, police say. Excuse me?
The police say that a Lyft driver shot at 2 men attempting to take his car in one of the city's latest attempted carjackings. Steve Keeley live in Center City with more. These guys got more than they bargained for. Good morning.
Yeah, this is when you always hear that TV news awful cliche, he turned the tables, right? Well, a lot of viewers always remind us that
his wig's
he turned it
bad
for the good, right? So here is the first scene. We had 3
His
different
wig is
scenes
bad.
here. And this, let me remind you, is after 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
What
right
previous
across from
government job
Fairmount
did he
Park,
work that he now has to
right
wear
as
that
people
wig
are
all the time?
outside. So there's witnesses at all the scenes. And it's hard to believe that this is
bad
the
wig.
brazenness of these carjackers. And these 2 guys in the 20s intentionally rear-end this Infinity. That's the thing that's happening right now. They bump you to make you stop and get out. And they do it right in front of people, so they don't even care. And this Infinity driver has a woman passenger in his back seat, and it takes 2 bumps for him to say, hey, what's going on? And when he gets out, the passenger in a Honda gets out with an automatic rifle and points it at him, again, in front of witnesses. And he gets out with his hands up and says, hey, you can have my car, but let me get this lady out. I'm a Lyft driver. Let me get her out because you don't want to take her and have a kidnapping. So they let him get her out of there, and then he waits for the carjacker to get into his car. Then he pulls his gun, and he has a concealed carry permit because you would think every Lyft driver and Uber driver who doesn't want to die on the job would have that as well. Here's the second scene.
Damn.
This is where his car ends up,
coming in
just
hot.
about 2 blocks away. And look at the bullet holes. He blows the driver through the window, through the door handle, through the door frame, hits that guy at least twice in the torso. And that guy stops just 3 blocks away, right on Parkside Avenue, right at Fairmount Park, and falls out of the driver's side. And people call police thinking, hey, there's a shooting victim here. Meantime, he then turns to the Honda and shoots that driver through the passenger side of that. That guy makes it 2 blocks in the opposite direction after making a U-turn, and he collapses at Lancaster and 43rd Street. And then some more people call cops there. Meanwhile, he calls the police with his female passenger and witnesses who tell police the whole story. And they realize these 2 guys that they rushed to the hospital are now not victims, but prisoners.
You know, yeah. That's crazy. There's another shooting in Philadelphia, man. There's or well, no, it's the same shooting in Philadelphia. 30th, yeah. Dude was 39. Damn. Well, positive energy to any survivors, victims, missing girl we talked about, and, you know, yeah. I think we're gonna roll on out of here for the day. I wanted to make sure to touch base with everybody. Again, I kind of an unexpected morning. It was bad. It was bathroom times. It was bad bathroom times. But love you guys endlessly. I'll see you guys later. I'm probably gonna end up doing a music stream or something. Let's make a beat or something today. Let's start slow. Let's figure out like a drum beat we like, and maybe some keyboards or something here in a little bit. Maybe do some music or something this evening. I don't know. We'll see. See how I'm feeling. Anyway. Love you guys. Take it easy. Everybody be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, and hey, goodbye, Justin. I'm just gonna hang out right today until I'm done. Just leave the mic hot.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll probably leave you in my ear. I'm gonna be making a copper knife.
Oh, hell yeah. That's cool. Excited to see photos of that. Alright. I'm out, gang.